slightest of edges based on Tom's history of winning Super Bowls, but he said both have attributes you cannot see, and that's what separates them from other quarterbacks. And Joe Gibbs, who was a master play caller, chose Manning for his calculations at the line of scrimmage, saying, with Peyton, you get the ultimate offense. But both quarterbacks are facing freezing temperatures down here, Al. 23 degrees, wind chill of 14, and wind gusts of up to 20 miles per hour, Al. We have had some significant gusts of wind down here tonight.
All right, stay warm, Michelle. We've got 3 games in 8 days. Notable inactives tonight. Julius Thomas was out on the field before the game, but he can't make it. So the tight end is out tonight. Champ Bailey is also out. They expect him to return perhaps next week in Kansas City. Raheem Moore is out as well, and Michael Ho'omanawanui for New England is their major inactive. Trendon Holiday, who's a very exciting returner but has had fumble issues in recent weeks. He's going to get the ball. New England won the toss and deferred, as Belichick is prone to do, and thus it'll start with Denver with the football at the 20-yard line. And let's take a look at that Bronco offense.
Peyton Manning, University of Tennessee.
Noshawn Moreno, Georgia.
Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Eric Decker, Minnesota.
Wes Welker, Texas Tech.
Virgil Green, Nevada.
Chris Clark, Southern Miss.
Zane Beatles, Utah. Go Utes.
Manny Ramirez, Texas Tech. Luis Vasquez, Texas Tech.
Orlando Franklin, the U, by way of Toronto, Canada.
So many subplots tonight. Wes Welker, of course, over the past 6 seasons, catching Tom Brady's passes. Now in a white uniform, and they start with a 12-yard run by Noshawn Moreno. Out to the 32-yard line, Jamie Collins making the tackle, and per usual, no huddle for Peyton Manning. Doesn't mean he's always going to quick snap it, but he'll come to the line on first down from the 32-yard line. And they go 5 wide on first down, and the pass is dropped by Demarius Thomas. That'll make it second down and 10. For Peyton Manning, he's on his way to setting all kinds of season records, career records in his 16th year, most road wins in NFL history, 74 and 42, but in New England, 2 and 7. And a floating pass to the outside is caught by Virgil Green, one of 3 tight ends who will spell Julius Thomas.
We're going to take a look at Peyton Manning. You know, with Bill Belichick and his defense, he's going to want Peyton to throw the ball in this win outside the numbers. And you can see the little wobble on the ball. Believe me, when trying to cut through this win, the tighter the spiral, the better.
Third down and 7. They get Manning off the spot, but he throws on the run. It's going to be short of the first down. Wes Welker makes the catch, and he's stopped by Hightower and Jamie Collins, the 2 outside linebackers. And so after 1 first down, the Patriots will get the football on a punt.
Well, but he gets the ball in the hands of Wes Welker here back in the stadium. And for Jamie Collins, he's a guy that now is coming in and taking the place of Brandon Spikes on this defense. Much more athletic for this type of spread out game, and he's made a couple of plays already.
Britton Colquitt is the Denver punter. Julian Edelman is back to receive the kick. The kick going into the wind, and a wobbly floating kick is fair caught at the 24-yard line by Edelman. So we'll see Tom Brady for the first time tonight when we come back to Foxborough. Denver, New England. Scores. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Southwest Airlines. You can find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Toyota, let's go places. By Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. And by Sears, holiday a better way, Sears. That's not a pleasure trip there, Chris.
That's our production crew headed for Baltimore.
Right. We're going to feel like that. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanksgiving football for you. Pittsburgh at Baltimore on Thursday night. All right, Brady now. And New England's first offensive play. A big hole over the right side for Stephen Ridley, who takes it to the 31-yard line, tackled by the cornerback Chris Harris. Gain of 7. It'll be second down and 3. Tom Brady. only quarterback to be 100 games over 500 at any point in his career. That's how spectacular he has been. 143 wins, only 42 losses, 3 Super Bowl titles, and he's been to 2 other Super Bowls. On 2nd down and 3. Good clean pocket for him, but the pass is low and behind Gronkowski. 3rd down. Let's take a look at the Pats starters.
Tom Brady, Michigan.
Stephen Ridley, Louisiana State University.
Danny Amendola, Texas Tech.
Julian Edelman, Kent State.
Aaron Dobson, Marshall University.
Rob Gronkowski, University of Arizona.
Nate Solder, Colorado.
Logan Minkins, Fresno State.
Ryan Hundell, Fresno State.
Dan Conley, Southeast Missouri.
Marcus Cannon, TCU.
On 3rd down, they bring Shane Vereen into the backfield. He flanks Brady. Gronkowski moves to the slot on the left. And Brady goes to the left side, and it's caught out in the flat by Shane Vereen for a 4-yard gain, tackled by Wesley Woodyard. So they use Ridley and Blunt on 1st and 2nd down, go to Vereen on 3rd down. He has missed several games, but caught 8 balls last week at Carolina.
Yeah, and Wesley Woodyard in coverage there had to go over the top of the 2 receivers underneath him. And it sure is nice for Tom Brady to have Shane Vereen back. He is a guy came out in the first game of the season, had a big day running and catching the ball. He is a big part of this passing game.
Back from a wrist injury. And then trying to get to the outside was Ridley. No gain there. Let's take a look at the Denver D.
Derek Wolf, Cincinnati. Kevin Vickerson, Michigan State, Spartan Dogs. Terrence Knighton, Temple Owls. Shaw Phillips, Boilermakers. Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Wesley Woodyard, Kentucky.
Danny Trevathan, Kentucky. Chris Harris, Kansas University.
Dookie Inacho, San Jose State. Mike Adams, Delaware Blue Hens.
Dominique Rogers-Cromartie, Tennessee State.
Rogers-Cromartie, their best cover corner. Shane Vereen up to the 39-yard line. And with 11:20 to go in the quarter, no score. And again, Jack Del Rio, the interim head coach, John Fox, underwent a heart procedure during the bye week. He was back in North Carolina, is still at his home back there. Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, has guided them to 2 wins against San Diego and Kansas City. And Bill Belichick, of course, has been here since 2000. 3rd down and 6 at the 39-yard line. Brady protected extremely well, and the perfect pass is caught by Vereen, reaching for it, led him just perfectly, and Vereen with another 3rd down reception. Good pickup there, a gain on the play of 8.
Well, on the outside, you've got Nate Solder working against Von Miller, the outstanding pass rusher, and what a difference he's made since coming back for this defense. But Tom Brady able to look off. You usually see the Broncos with somebody right in the middle of the field.
Now Ridley will swing to the outside, tries to get around the corner, and does with a nice stiff arm before he is forced out of bounds into the Bronco bench. Got away from Danny Trevathan.
I'll tell you, I really enjoyed watching Stephen Ridley play on tape last week. He was a guy, there were 2 different occasions in that game where there were 2 unblocked players at the point of attack, and he still picked up 7 or 8 yards on each of those plays.
Patriots going no huddle on 2nd down and 3 from the 40-yard line. And a fumble to the outside that goes, and it's picked up by Von Miller. Miller into New England territory with a convoy. Gronkowski tries to chase him down. He gets blocked out of the play, and Denver has a touchdown. Wesley Woodyard created the fumble, and that has been an issue in the past. On the run by Ridley, the ball is extracted. It's a 60-yard return. Ridley coughed it up in Carolina, was put on the bench for about a quarter last week, coughs it up again tonight.
Explosive play by Woodyard. He diagnosed it right away. Tom Brady gave it a shot, but there was no chance. And for Stephen Ridley, he was given a second chance. After fumbles this season, you just wonder, after one this big, does he get another chance? My guess is maybe not.
4th fumble for Ridley this season. 2 in the last 2 games. We took a look upstairs. Everything is in order on the turnover and the touchdown. The extra point is good. And so Denver on a Von Miller 60-yard run leads 7-0. For your complete viewing experience, check out NBC Sports Live Extra on NBCSports.com. Pick your own camera angle, chat with Mike Florio and Michelle Tafoya. And Deion Branch is tonight's guest social media analyst, Super Bowl MVP from a number of years back. There is Stephen Ridley, and it remains to be seen whether he'll be back in the lineup on first and second down the next time they have the ball, or whether he goes right, does Belichick to LeGarrette Blount.
Well, it's tough to take him out. I understand it. He had 150 yards rushing against the Broncos in this game last year, and we talked about it a little bit. He's really an effective runner, but that is a little too often that's been happening. And unfortunately for the Patriots, that happened while they were going with the wind, so it killed off one of those possessions.
Now kicking into the wind is Matt Prater, and thus a returnable kick from the 6-yard line. This is Devin McCourty who goes back there to get it. And the Patriot defensive back gets tackled at the 28-yard line, and back we go to the fumble and Miller's return.
Well, Wesley Woodyard is going to see this play develop and shoot through the gap. Conley stays on this double team, doesn't get off, and really there's nobody there for Wesley Woodyard. I have to think that was some kind of a blown blocking assignment. You don't leave the backside linebacker unblocked. Don't know if somebody didn't pull or trap or bring around, and then Tom Brady gave a little flipper action there.
Well, the penance, at least for the moment, is that Ridley's on the sideline, empty backfield. They've got Vereen in the game, and they flank him wide right. And Brady looking in that direction, and he slings the pass incomplete. Over toward the Broncos sideline, it'll be 2nd and 10.
And I can't tell, is that Kevin Vickerson down?
It is the defensive tackle who's having a banner season. Injury timeout. The Blacklist has developed a very big fan base. Discover why it's the #1 news show on television. You can see it tomorrow at 10 Eastern and Pacific, 9 Central and Mountain, right here on NBC. As you look at downtown Boston and now to Foxborough, about 35 miles to the south, where it's 2nd down and 10. Vickerson walked off under his own power. Brady with the empty backfield. They close on Brady, and the ball is loose, and it's picked up by the Broncos' Terrence Knighton, who takes it to the 10-yard line. Von Miller, who ran the fumble by Ridley back for a touchdown, was able to strip sack it from Brady. So 2 turnovers by the Patriots in the first 5.5 minutes.
There he is, Von Miller, the difference maker on the outside. Just too fast that time for Nate Solder. And you wondered coming into this game, how could Marcus Cannon, the right tackle, block him? But Nate Solder is their best tackle and got beat cleanly. So what a start for the Denver Broncos, and it has nothing to do with Peyton Manning.
Von Miller missed the first 6 games. League suspension, has come back. He called himself a work in progress. Coming back a little slowly until tonight. He's back in a hurry. Boshan Moreno is the back. He takes it on first down from the 10-yard line and takes it to the 2. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Moreno started the game with an 11-yard run. Is able to pick up 8 more here.
Well, that was some double team over there between the 2 former teammates, Luis Vasquez and Manny Ramirez, just moving them off the ball.
2nd and goal. Manning doesn't want the Patriots to make any defensive changes. Brings him to the line, and Moreno will chug his way in for the touchdown. So in 6 minutes and 6 seconds on the road, a 2-touchdown lead for the Denver Broncos.
Great play by Manny Ramirez here, going to help the double team, then come off on the linebacker. Perfectly timed. He comes out, and Moreno just goes right around him. So far, a stunning start to this game. Typically, in the history of this series, we have seen the Patriots, the team with the lead, and now it is going to be Tom Brady that has to play from behind.
In most of those Brady-Manning matchups, and Brady's won 9 of the 13, they've had the lead almost constantly. As Chris mentioned, the come from behind wins for Manning when he was a Colt, and tonight a different story as Peyton's team now has a 14-0 lead after the Prater extra point. 8:54 remaining in the opening quarter. Stunning beginning in Foxborough. Last week on Sunday Night Football, Von Miller against Kansas City had what you might call a fairly silent night. Tonight, he's been pretty noisy. A sack fumble that led to a touchdown and a 60-yard return that was a touchdown.
We got Gronk out here, and it kind of widened him for Nate Solder, who just completely got leaning so far forward he had no chance. You just wonder if Von Miller heard a little bit of that noise about his lack of production and came out flying here tonight just like the football off the tee.
Yep. Broncos going against the wind in the first quarter, so the 2 turnovers against the wind. They're going to have the wind obviously in the second quarter, and already a 14-0 lead, and there you can see it, the stiffening flags, gusts up to about 30 miles an hour on a frigid night. Raiders kick. The wind will hold it up. Run back from the 9-yard line. This is Devin McCourty. And the tackle is made up at the 24-yard line by Steven Johnson. Talking about the past 13 games, Brady 29.7 points for the Patriots, and Colts and Broncos for Manning 24.2. The average time spent in the league, take a look at that. In their regular season games, Brady's teams have had the ball 34 minutes and 45 seconds. Peyton 13:46. And in postseason, look at that, 20 seconds. With, of course, that gigantic comeback in the 06 playoffs, which led to an eventual Colts Super Bowl win. Here's LeGarrette Blount carrying out to the 28-yard line.
You know, LeGarrette Blount, and running back now, number 29, is a guy who typically comes in at the end of ball games, sort of the Mariano Rivera of this club. He's the closer when they have a lead, but he is also about 250 pounds worth of running back, and maybe they're thinking on this night, time for the closer to come in a little earlier.
Kevin Vickerson is back in the game. Svitek is at right tackle for New England here, 2nd down and 6. Backfield for Brady, swings it to the outside, it's caught, and then it's Shane Vereen. They're going to give him forward progress. Let's see, very close to a 1st down, and it is a 1st down, tackled by Chris Harris.
There's number 61, Marcus Cannon, who just got his legs rolled up on, and so now they are down to their 3rd tackle at the right tackle position. Sebastian Vollmer already out with a foot injury. Now Marcus Cannon out, at least temporarily.
Vollmer on IR. Cannon just headed to the locker room. The ball to the 35-yard line. To the outside goes Blount, and Blount will pick up about 9.5. Now Denver has come up with the ball again. And if there's no whistle, it's Danny Trevathan who's going to run this back. And the Broncos are certain they have it. Of course, every turnover is reviewed, so they'll take a look upstairs. Duke Ihenacho made the tackle and may have forced it out. Another look here.
Duke Ihenacho hit him right in the ear hole, and I'm not so sure Corey Blount wasn't, or LeGarrette Blount wasn't just knocked unconscious in that situation, and the ball just dropped.
The ball is out before his knee is down. Of course, they review it upstairs, but this is going to stand. And this will be 3 turnovers.
Be reviewed.
Gene Steratore is the referee tonight. They'll review it, but it looks like it's going to stand. With 7:19 to go in the first quarter, 14-0 Denver. So they're reviewing this. Here's what is going to happen. It's a fumble, certainly, by LeGarrette Blount. But then when Danny Trevathan recovers the fumble, Blount reaches out with his hand and is able to contact him with his knee on the ground. Thus, with the ball out, Denver will get the ball, but the return won't count. They'll get the ball at about the 45-yard line of New England.
And the teams have already moved back. There you can see the hand right there. Right there it is, as the knee was still down on the ground. And really, this is a huge break for the Patriots because they were right on the
It is a fumble. However, when Denver did recover the ball, the recovery was down by contact at the 44-yard line. It'll be Denver's ball, 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line on the hash mark nearest New England's bench.
So Blount just reaching out, perhaps trying to find the football, winds up getting his hand on his leg, on Trevathan's leg, and Denver is now forced to start from the 44 instead of about the 15-yard line.
And now both lead running backs, Stephen Ridley and LeGarrette Blount, both have fumbles on their resume, and we're not out of the first quarter yet. So now where do you go?
3 turnovers for the Patriots.
26 seconds. 7:26 on the game clock, please.
Put a few seconds back on the clock. So we're barely halfway past the first quarter. Most in the first quarter in the Belichick era. That's no surprise. 3 1/2 quarter. No Sean Moreno is the back. Manning takes the snap out of the pistol. And Moreno over the right side. And he is inside the 40-yard line to about the 38-yard line behind Vasquez and Franklin, the right guard and right tackle.
You know, you just got the feeling in talking with Jack Del Rio that he was none too happy with the way this game went last year, the way that his defense got run over. He said they just manhandled us. There was a little edge coming in here.
On 2nd down and 4, Moreno again, and he fights his way for a first down. Let's take a look at that New England defense.
Rob Ninkovich, Purdue University.
Joe Villano, Maryland. Chris Jones, Bowling Green State.
Chandler Jones, Syracuse University.
Brandon Spikes, Florida.
Dante Atto, the University of Alabama.
Aqib Talib, North Dallas, Texas.
Kyle Arrington, Glen Park High School.
Deron Harmon, Rutgers University.
Devin McCourty, Rutgers.
Logan Ryan, Rutgers.
4 rookies starting on defense tonight. The ball to the 31 and a secondary that's completely banged up.
Yeah, no question about it, but it's interesting. Alfonso Dennard is already out there tonight. He had a bit of a knee issue just a couple of weeks ago. He got it repaired, and he's back in the game. I tell you, if I would have to check him out early down at the bottom of the screen, see just how healthy he is.
2nd and 8, inside handoff to Monte Ball out of the University of Wisconsin, the number 2 draft choice last year. Playing more and more as the season goes on. There was the right ankle of Peyton Manning, which was the number 1 story in Denver going into the Kansas City game, but that's subsided a bit.
Yeah, because he didn't get hit in the Kansas City game. What a remarkable job by this offensive line. Really a couple of touches on Peyton Manning, but no knockdowns at all in that one. And so far, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady really have not even factored in the story of this game. It has been all running, and maybe we shouldn't be surprised. We were down on the field before. It's really tough conditions.
This territory is...
Please shut the play clock off on the other side of the field. We will keep the play clock on the field. The play clock will be kept on the field at this point.
The first part of that was that the play clock is not working. So it said 40. It was stuck on it. That's when Steratore stopped the action and told Peyton to keep it down here on the field. 3rd down and 4 from the 27-yard line. And this is Monte Ball taking it to the 21-yard line. So Denver establishing a nice ground game here. They have run the ball for 44 yards on 8 rushes.
Those 2 guys right there are just winning the battle. That's the double team. You get up on the linebacker on the next level, and so far it is all the running game of the Broncos.
Pistol again. Huge hole. And going all the way to the 5-yard line is Monte Ball. Vasquez and Ramirez, the center and guard, 2 guys who played at Texas Tech, leading the way.
Well, there's Joe Villano right there, and he's the guy that, at least in part, taking over for Vince Wilfork inside. You never saw teams running up the gut when Vince Wilfork was in there. The Broncos attacking some of these young players inside. Chris Jones, Joe Villano, and company.
1st and goal from the 5. Ball. He can't get out of the backfield this time. Equal to the task. Chandler Jones, Rob Ninkovich is there as well. 4:40 to go in the quarter. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
Well, Virgil Green's going to have to be better than this. Chandler Jones is going to shoot right inside of him here and make the play in the backfield. You get it going running the football, and now you might have to put the thing in the air.
2nd and goal as they go 3 by 1, 3 receivers to the left side. Welker is the middleman. Manning under pressure and gets sacked at the 16-yard line. Chandler Jones now has 10.5 sacks. He's their leading sacker, including 4 in the last 2+ games.
Well, clearly Chandler Jones has become one of the more dominant guys in the league, and Chris Clark, who had such a good game last week against Tamba Ali, ends up giving up this one here. Just cannot control him. Good pressure inside as well by Dante Hightower.
There is Vince Wilfork, who got hurt at the end of September in the 4th game of the season at Atlanta. Noshon Moreno is back in, flanking Manning on 3rd down and goal from the 16. And they give it to Moreno. And Moreno's going to take the ball to the 9-yard line, so they will settle for a field goal attempt on 4th down.
Yeah, and we all know Bill Belichick and his ability to make adjustments, but right now, because Peyton Manning has this lead and has been going into the win, he simply is just taking a shot. So you want to come up with a Jamie Collins, more of a coverage linebacker, fine. I'm going to attack your young guys inside, and they have been successful running the football.
Into a 20-mile-an-hour wind, Matt Prater for the field goal. Britton Colquitt to hold it. Snap and hold is good, and the kick is perfect. So 3 turnovers, and the Broncos cash in on all of them. 17-0 Denver.
Turnovers the story so far for the Denver Broncos, taking advantage of all 3 thus far in this one. It started early. Stephen Ridley with the opening fumble, and Von Miller takes it back. Von Miller then with the sack fumble there. And then finally Duke Iheanacho, a big play linebacker who surprised everybody, taking over the safety position. Hard hitter, and now he has Bill Belichick's wheels turning on the sideline.
17-0 Denver. The Broncos, despite a 9-1 record, came into the game with a -2 turnover differential. They had 19 turnovers, 17 takeaways, but they've now turned that into the plus column with 3 takeaways tonight. Devin McCourty figures to run another one back because that wind is so strong it's almost impossible for Prater to get it through the end zone. Something that he does with great frequency, obviously, in Denver. This is a floater caught on the run at the 16-yard line by McCourty. And McCourty takes the ball back to the 29-yard line. Manning and Brady, the supporting cast through the years. They play with a lot of great players. Manning said running backs who 9 times have gained 1,000 or more yards. Brady 4. 1,000-yard receivers, 19 receiving seasons. Of course, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne accounting for a lot of those. 8 for Brady, and each has played with teams in which guys have been selected 50 times for Pro Bowls. On offense, Manning 32 selections going to Harrison, Wayne, Dallas Clark, and people like that. We've got a flag before the snap.
Offense, number 87, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Well, we're used to a lot of things that we don't figure in the National Football League, which is why we love it. But this is pretty stunning tonight.
Yeah, you just couldn't have imagined a scenario with a 17-point lead in this game where neither quarterback has really played any role whatsoever. And we're on our 3rd running back now for the New England Patriots.
Brandon Bolden, they flare him out, and the pass is caught by Gronkowski, who missed several games at the beginning of the season after multiple surgeries in the offseason. So Gronkowski, who comes up limping, gets back to the huddle after a gain of 4 yards.
Yeah, and what the Patriots are going to have to do is another timeout here.
Well, they've got there's a play clock issue now in both end zones.
Well, and typically what they do in this situation is the back judge will then hold up his hand at 10 seconds to give the quarterback some indication of how much longer he has. But obviously if you turn the clock off on one end, you turn it off on the other and play without it.
Yeah. Back judge probably doesn't want to take his hands out of his pockets tonight.
The game clock is not functioning. The game clock will be kept on the field at this point. There is 2 minutes and 43 seconds remaining in the 1st quarter, and the game clock will be held on the field until we correct the problem.
All right, so now you've got the play clock not working, and the game clock is not working as well. It says 2:52, but it did not tick down on the last play. So apart from that, everything's great. 2nd and 11 from the 28-yard line. Only needs a weather delay. Brady throws high. It sails, intended for Amendola, but there's a flag on the play. Danny Amendola, the guy they brought in from St. Louis to take the spot when they let Wes Welker sign with the Broncos.
Chris Harris on coverage. Number 25. I can read lips like that.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. Number 25. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
That is Chris Harris.
A lot of man coverage for the Denver Broncos. When you watch them play, it's pretty easy to call the game because it's just one-on-one matchups around the field. And there you see Chris Harris grabbing the face mask and the ball sailing a bit. But I can't really get a feel yet for whether either of these quarterbacks is going to be able to throw the football outside the numbers, because that one certainly sailed on Tom as well.
Brady is 4 of his first 6 for 29 yards. Look out, pressure, and that's Kevin Vickerson, who was shaken up before. Talking about Vickerson, who's been around for a long time, 8 years in the league, played in Miami, played in Tennessee, played in Europe, but having a banner year.
It's the same problem they had last week. Blocked down, the center tries to come out and get Vickerson. They gave up a sack on this very same protection. But when Dan Conley hugs tightly down the line of scrimmage, he cuts off Ryan Wendell. That's a protection I think they're going to have to throw out of the playbook.
9-yard sack, 2nd and 19. Vereen in the game, flanking Brady. And over the middle, the pass is caught on the run by Julian Edelman. He gets to the 49-yard line. Bob Miller makes the tackle. So from 2nd and 19, they go to a 3rd and about 5, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Patriots right tackle Marcus Cannon is questionable with a right ankle. Al, you mentioned he had gone to the locker room. He remains there, so that leaves 6 offensive linemen right now, at the moment, healthy for New England.
I'll tell you, it's been a nightmare quarter, Michelle, for the Patriots on both sides of the ball. Now you've got a timeout.
First charge timeout.
Taken by
Denver.
It'll be 3rd down and 5 when we come back to Foxborough. Gene Steratore just announced 1 minute 31 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Of course, none of the clocks are working. They're all frozen in time.
Shane Vereen flanked out, and one of the things the Patriots would like to do tonight is get Shane Vereen and Gronkowski in space and let those linebackers try to cover those 2 guys in some open areas.
3rd and 5, and Brady to the outside, and that pass is incomplete. Intended for Danny Amendola. It'll be 4th down. Harris covering on the play.
Well, Danny Amendola tried to come out of the break, and I think he was going to be open for the first down and just simply stumbled and fell.
Ryan Allen will do the punting, rookie out of Louisiana Tech. Trendon Holiday back inside his 10-yard line. Allen will be kicking with the wind. It's a line drive kick, and Holiday's going to let it go, and it's going to bound into the end zone. Wes Welker returning to Foxborough. 6 years here in New England. The Pats were 74-19. Wound up going to a couple of Super Bowls, 100 or more receptions for 1,000 or more yards in 5 of those 6 years. 672 grabs, most by any player ever in a 6-year span, and couldn't come to contract terms with New England. Tom Brady wasn't very happy about that. Denver made him the offer. He goes to join Manning, and Amendola comes to New England. And Manning will hand the ball off to O'Shawn Moreno. That's a gain of 3 yards. Manning's only thrown the ball 3 times in the quarter, 2 out of 3 for 8 yards.
Yeah, and there's Brandon Spikes. You want to run the football a little bit? I'm putting 55 back in the game and let him hammer away. He's had a bit of a knee issue this week, but no issue on that one.
The ground again, and why not? Going into the wind, and Moreno gets tackled up at the 25-yard line by Brandon Spikes. So Denver tonight, who would have figured? Denver's run 17 plays, 13 rushes, 4 passes. Of course, the big story of the game, if you just tuned in, New England has turned the ball over 3 times.
Now Brandon Spikes comes out, and now the nickel comes in, and somebody is going to have to get Chandler Jones blocked. Chris Clark is going to have his hands full over here, so Brandon Spikes did his job. He got it to 3rd and 5. Now it's up to the pass rushers and the coverage guys.
Clock not working. We're in the waning seconds of the quarter. Manning going quickly, and it's caught for a first down. That is Jacob Tamme making the catch. Julius Thomas not active tonight, so they have to go with Joel Dreesen, Jacob Tamme, and Virgil Green. Tight end by committee. And that, they tell us, is the end of the first quarter with the score Denver 17, New England nothing. And Sunday Night Football continues after these messages.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
Coverage brought to you by Geico. Some scenes from Friday night, downtown Boston up the road. Massachusetts State Capitol are playing grounded tonight because of the winds, but what a sports era this has been for that city. Al Michaels, Chris Collins, we're at Michelle Tafoya. We start the second quarter with the 1st and 10 for Denver. Noshawn Moreno will take it over the right side, and Moreno will take it to the 49-yard line. Tackled there by Harmon, the rookie out of Rutgers, and that's already 10 carries for 63 yards. That's a gain of 17 for Noshawn.
Well, Louis Vasquez that time working against Isaac Sopawaga, and he gets him turned, and good cut up the field by Noshawn Moreno. And this has been a vastly different story in this one from what we saw a year ago when it was the Patriots running the ball like this.
Moreno again into New England territory, and he'll get gang wrestled after a gain of 5. The Denver Broncos, #1 offense in the league, on a record-setting pace on so many levels. Through week 10, it was 60-40 pass over run. Then last week more balanced, and tonight 14 runs and 5 passes. Here comes number 6. Manning will swing it to the outside, and ball will go nowhere because it's Brandon Spikes who comes over to make the tackle for a loss.
Boy, Wes Welker was standing by himself, waving his arms in the middle of the field. There's Wes there on the end of the line of scrimmage. Watch this. They pay so much attention to their crossers. He's jumping up and down in the middle of the field, and for whatever reason, and rarely does Peyton Manning miss a wide open receiver, he missed him that time.
Brady was on the other sideline licking his chops.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, didn't he play for the other team? Wait a minute.
3rd down and 11. You got Tamme and Green, 2 tight ends flanking Manning. There's the play clock down to 4. And Manning throws into double coverage for Eric Decker, and that's incomplete. First time Decker has been targeted tonight, and it's 4th down.
There's Logan Ryan, one of the rookies on the back end out of Rutgers, as is the safety Dron Harmon, as is the safety Devin McCourty. But these are 2 young players in Dron Harmon and Logan Ryan. They were drafted at least in part because of how intelligent they were, and they have not backed off any of their coverage schemes whatsoever with those 2 rookies in there.
Denver going with the wind in the second quarter, so Colquitt's kick will be wind aided. Put some backspin on it. Julian Edelman is there and falls for the fair catch at the 10-yard line. Clocks are working again. 13 minutes to go in the opening half. Denver 17 and the Patriots nothing. And there's a flag down, so hold that band. Stop that drum major right now. Gene Steratore conferring and ready to give us the call. Eventually.
Well, Gene's standing back about the 40.
We have a member of the kicking team voluntarily out of bounds, returning into the field of play. It's a 5-yard penalty. There's number 12 on the kicking team will penalize 5 yards to Denver and replay 4th down.
All right, they'll do it again.
Andre Caldwell, one of the wide receivers. You can see not forced out of bounds at all and sort of took the easy route there. Not easy being one of those gunners, but backed up on the 10-yard line. Belichick decided to try that one more time. Tough week for Brandon Spikes. He was out there and trying to get it going, but now with this game turning in the lead by the Denver Broncos, it will be one of his kind of games instead of Jamie Collins.
Yeah, he was downgraded before the game from probable to questionable, but obviously in action tonight. Again, Colquitt's kick with backspin on it is muffed at the 9-yard line and picked up by Edelman. And the ball's out again. And the way the Broncos are responding, it looks like the Patriots have at least recovered this one. And it's Buchanan, it's Michael Buchanan who saves it for the moment. Danny Trevathan, who's all over the joint, created it, but Buchanan keeps it for Brady and company, down by 17. What a night for the Patriots. Chess match, the mind games that go on. Peyton Manning on the bench, Bill Belichick, who as a head coach or a defensive coordinator through the years has been matched up against Peyton 18 times. Great respect between the two. We talked to both of them about conversations they have had, and of course through the years, either at the Pro Bowl or when the Combine was held in Indianapolis, as it still is, and Peyton was there, they would get together, and they've had a number of conversations through the years. Brandon Bolden with a big hole over the left side, and just what the Patriots needed after they recover the muff punt and the fumble by Edelman. Mike Adams is finally able to run down Bolden, a gain of 33.
Well, Nate Solder on the outside, but Gronk pulling up around the hole. We're seeing him much more involved in the run game now. Probably the most complete tight end in football.
Play action. Brady loses the ball again and has to pick it up and gets the pass away to Bolden. You wonder what's going on after all of this. Sean Phillips came in. You almost had another fumble. Brady dropping it, picking it up, and getting it away for a gain of 11.
How many balls have been on the ground tonight? Sean Phillips comes around and gets it out, and Brady with enough presence of mind to just pick it up and get the big play.
And Quick snaps it from the 35-yard line and taken down for a loss of 3 by Von Miller is Brandon Bolden.
Sean Phillips, 9 sacks already on the season, coming around the edge, and they try to pull out the guard, Logan Mankins. You see the Patriots do a lot of run action to throw the football, so they want their passing game to look just like their running game. Pull the guard out, make you think it's a run, but Phillips has been around a little longer than that.
3 receivers set to the right side. You've got Vereen in the backfield flanking Brady. And Brady lost one, and it's dropped at the 20-yard line. That was Vereen. Again, Brady throwing into the wind. The pass started to wobble, but it's right there and off his hands. 3rd down.
Well, it's a pick play, same one they ran a week ago, and the same thing happened. Shane Vereen with that soft cast on his wrist. You can see it, that sort of black tape looking sort of thing. And it was almost the exact throw. The play worked a week ago. He couldn't handle it. Another one just like it, and he can't handle it again.
Caught 8 passes, though, last Monday night. 3 so far tonight. Now the drop. 3rd down and 13. Over the middle. Catch is made, and it's Amendola taking it to the 30-yard line. So it'll be 4th down and about 5.
Pretty interesting decision here. I think you probably have to go for it. I'm not sure that going this direction, you could kick a field goal that far anyway.
It would be about a 48-yard field goal. Meanwhile, extra time to think about it because Duke Iheanacho, the Denver safety, is down on one knee.
Significant because their starting safety, Raheem Moore, is out. So Mike Adams took his place. They did sign Michael Huff, but he is not available for this one, inactive. See if we can see from the left side of the screen. Here goes friendly fire, as we see so many times. Wesley Woodyard ends up hitting the head of Duke Iheanacho, and down he goes.
So Iheanacho goes to the sideline, and of course there's a concussion protocol that comes into play right off the bat on a play like that. But Iheanacho back on the bench coming into the game, the 5th-year defensive back from Notre Dame, and New England to go for it on a 4th down and 5. Four-man rush. Brady slides to the right side, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Amendola. So the Patriots go for it, turn it over on downs. Peyton gets the ball back and a 17-point lead in New England. Patriots, a lot of mixing and matching on defense this year. 18 different starters for the Patriots. You got Wilford, Kelly, and Mayo out for the season. 3 really huge losses for them. Volano, Jones, a 6th-rounder. Ryan, a 3rd-rounder. Harmon, a 3rd-rounder.
Captains, but there's no replacing that big guy right there, because for years and years he just sits in the middle of that defense and they make a lot of plays around him. Good young player right there, and Chris Jones already has 5 sacks on the season, but so far tonight it's been more about stopping the run, and now they've got 3 defensive linemen in there to try and do it with Brandon Spikes.
This drive begins from the 30-yard line. Denver, good ground game tonight up to the 34-yard line. Had a chance to hear from John Fox yesterday. Happy to report that Coach Fox very much on the mend and hopes to fly back to Denver in the middle of next week. Meanwhile, you don't know. That's to be determined by the doctors. 2nd down and 6, and Moreno again up to the 38-yard line.
Well, I mean, let's just tell the truth. He's probably coaching right now.
Of course he is.
I mean, they are staying in constant contact with Coach Fox here, but now you can see with these bigger guys in the game now, especially that bigger guy right there, Brandon Spikes, Isaac Sopoaga, they are playing run first now as Peyton is milking this clock a bit going into the win.
3rd down and 2. And Manning to the outside, converts Decker. You ever try to make a decision predicated upon what you think John Fox would think? And he said, you know, I can't do it that way. I've got to do what I would do. And of course, Del Rio has a ton of head coach.
Maybe really could run out of this set, but maybe not.
He gets hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. So Manning hits the deck. He had Chandler Jones coming in, knocking him to the turf. Pass incomplete, 2nd and 10.
That time the safeties appeared to be too deep in the middle of the field. Payne anticipated it was not going to stay that way. They came down with Deron Harmon and did a little double coverage. So Peyton,
intentional grounding. Offense, number 18 was under pressure. Throws the ball with no one in the area.
tackle box as long as the quarterback's inside that. And there is pressure coming, and he throws it to a spot where no one is. They're going to call it intentional grounding. Chandler Jones once again applying the pressure. Really, the protection not horrible. The coverage was just very good.
2nd and 20 now after the penalty and the loss of down. 8:58 to go in the half. Denver cashing in on 3 New England turnovers for all 17 points. On 2nd and 20, the pass is through the hands and almost intercepted. Demarius Thomas couldn't hold it. And then a dive for the ball by Hightower. It's incomplete. 3rd down and 20.
Well, number 41, Justin Green, just fresh off the practice squad, is going to have the number 1 receiver for the Broncos, kind of lets him go. And there was space across the formation. And Thomas, their most reliable of receivers, can't hold on. Of course, playing tonight without their star tight end, Julius Thomas.
Manning, a lot of times he'll say, hey, you just have to take your medicine on 3rd and long. So let's see what his medicine consists of here. Little screen pass to Monte Ball, and Ball to the 50, and Ball picks up the 1st down. Boy, that's pretty good medicine right there. So Manning would be content.
They're calling it out. Chandler Jones a little loop inside. And that's one you just don't see happen against Bill Belichick for the Patriots.
This is Moreno slipping to the outside. Another good run by Moreno, who a year ago was inactive for 8 games. He looked like he was going to be a bust. They picked him in the 1st round in 09 out of Georgia, but he's been resurrected, and he's done a terrific job of late tonight. 14 carries, and he's already picked up 84 yards.
Healthy and active many times last season, but he's Comeback certainly.
And here he goes again, and Moreno to the 15-yard line. The first down, Devin McCourty making the tackle, and that's 96 yards on the ground for Moreno tonight.
Big guy inside, Luis Vasquez, just going to push down here on this side, and that's the tight end, Virgil Green, looping around on a little power, kicked out Ninkovich.
Snaps it at 3, hands the ball off to the rookie, Monte Ball. Set a lot of records at the University of Wisconsin. Alfonso Dennard making the tackle, gain of 5 to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, it was Noshawn Moreno who had all the touchdowns early on for the Denver Broncos, but lately we've been seeing Monte Ball down around the red zone, 3 touchdowns in the last few weeks, and he stays in there now. Just a matter of trust, really, and can he handle the passing game, because a lot of run calls that come in from the sideline end up pass plays with Peyton Manning in his audible system.
Broncos 20th in the league in rushing, coming in, second down and 5. Manning protected well, throws to the corner of the end zone and incomplete. Virgil Green.
Take away Wes Welker. They're trying to take away Demaryius Thomas because they don't have to worry about Julius Thomas.
Dennard went limping off the field at the end of that play. Third down and 5. Manning over the middle, and it's caught by Jacob Tamme for the touchdown. Jacob Tamme, who played with Manning in Indianapolis and is one of the tight ends by committee in the absence of Julius Thomas tonight. And Manning to the end zone for his first touchdown pass of the night.
Well, it just goes right around Hightower, and there's not much room at all. Watch this little seam of a ball that gets in here. And, of course, Jacob Tamme, a guy that over the course of the years with Peyton Manning, when others get hurt, he gets an opportunity. He had a big year last year. Ended up with 52 catches, over 500 yards, but not much of a factor at all this year until needed with Julius Thomas out.
Prater for the extra point. Pretty stunning, 6-10 to the half. Denver 24, New England nothing. That's not a misprint. During Thursday night, get an extra helping of football. Thursday night, we'll look at the standings. Cincinnati 7-4, but Pittsburgh winning today at Cleveland. Baltimore knocking off the opposition to go to 5-6 as they took care of the New York Jets in Baltimore. We'll be in Baltimore on Thursday night. So New England down 24-0.
Of course. It's exactly what I was expecting was going to happen.
And this time Prater kicking with the win results in a touchback. Thanksgiving night. The coach, John Madden, will be out in California, but he's going to pick our players of the game. Got a little turducken, of course.
I got to vote for Vince Wilfork's bite of that
pretty good
turducken there over Tom's. He was a little more polite with his bite, as you would expect, I guess.
Well, here's Brady with a big uphill battle now. This is Bolden. You know, this is the first time since 2005 the Patriots have been an underdog, slight underdog they are, in a home game. The last time was against Indy week 9 of 2005 when Indianapolis came in as a 3-point favorite and won the game by 19.
They weren't a 24-point underdog.
No, they weren't.
You know, and you really have to put something together now if you're Tom Brady, and it's not going to be easy because now you're going into the wind, but you need something positive going into the half.
3-yard gain for Vereen, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Dookie Inacho went to the locker room to be evaluated for a concussion. Al, his return is questionable. Rising star in that Denver secondary. As far as he has just made his way back out onto the field, Al. He's running here to the sidelines. We'll update you when we know more.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Good sign there, obviously, for Denver. Duke had missed the game in San Diego with an ankle injury.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 92, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And that is Sylvester Williams, Sly Williams, their #1 draft choice, rookie out of North Carolina.
All right, here comes Ryan Wendell, number 62, goes over the top, and then Williams with just a little retaliation for what he thought was a cheap shot. Not much of a retaliation, but the rookie gets flagged. And the Patriots get a much-needed break.
Ball at the 39-yard line. Brady out of the gun is going to get sacked. He's going to get taken down by Von Miller. So he had that 6-game suspension. He was working his way back into football shape, as he said. He called himself a work in progress. He's had some night tonight.
Well, you should hear Bill Belichick talk about Nate Solder and what a great player he is, just to give you some idea of how good Von Miller is. Watch Danny Amendola right over the ball. Again, wide open. Just no time to get him the ball.
6-yard sack, and New England going into the wind, so they keep it on the ground. With Shane Vereen carrying. Gain of 3 there. It'll be 3rd down and 13.
Significant difference in this defense when Von Miller's been around, and sometimes it doesn't always show up on the stat page. A lot of times you'll see protect.
It's 4th and long, and the Patriots will have to punt.
Shane Vereen, watch him coming out of the backfield, going to get Von Miller right in the rib cage that time. That's what I'm talking about. It slows you down, but still got the completion. But for this Patriots offense, how many times have we seen them go into the half with a goose egg up there?
Yeah, not too often do you hear the sound of booing at Gillette Stadium.
It's cold here. They expect a little more than this.
Boy. Fritz, a very short punt into the 28-yard line. So the wind creating the snap that goes to the left of Allen, but he's able to get it away anyway. All Denver at this point. Download NFL Mobile, get live premium content like Sunday Night Football on your smartphone. Call ** NFL to download, or go to NFL.com/mobile. A lot of folks auditioning for the role of Nanook of the North.
Frosty the Snowman. This has been a tough night for everybody but Denver.
From the 30-yard line, the spot from where Denver launched its last scoring drive. This is Noshawn Moreno, and he has over 100.
In there, and he flipped that one out, got a one that's a little better. And then watch this tight spiral right here. We talked about windy conditions. You have to throw those perfect spirals. That one.
4 plays, 21 on the ground. And a first down on the 20.
I hope they're not being used in this scuffle out there. The palms aren't sticky like a receiver's glove, Al. He started wearing a glove on the throwing hand when he came back from his neck injury because the nerve regeneration wasn't 100% complete. He says the glove has helped his grip on the ball, particularly in cold and rain when the ball is slick.
Michelle, they were using 8-ounce gloves out there in that little skirmish. From the 41-yard line, as we approach the 2-minute warning, going nowhere this time is Moreno. He's tackled by Dean Fletcher, number 52, the outside linebacker. And that's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. New England, 3 early turnovers, leading to 17 points. 7 more added by the Broncos, who lead 24-0. Coming up, the Cowboys win, beat the Giants in the Meadowlands in the finals from Foxborough. 2 minutes to go in the half. The pass is caught by Moreno, who's been Mr. Everything tonight. He gets it to the 47-yard line, and Manning will take him right up to the line on a 2nd down.
Not much at all out of Demaryius Thomas tonight out here on the outside. Aqib Talib has been all over him.
So it's now 3rd down and 4 with 90 seconds to the half. Broncos going with the strong prevailing wind. Manning will throw it incomplete, and looking for a flag is Decker, covered there by Logan Ryan, rookie free agent out of Rutgers, and it's 4th down.
Really no choice whatsoever now. Logan Ryan has to come up, little man coverage on the outside, taking Decker. This game is getting more and more physical. We saw during the break, Brandon Spike, some of the guys, there's some jawing going on. This is a prideful Patriots organization that's being humiliated so far in this first half.
Something you almost never see in this ballpark. Britton Colquitt will punt. Julian Edelman sets up at his own 10-yard line. And calls for a fair catch and makes it at the 7-yard line. We can tell you that Sunday Night Football is being brought to you by Van Heusen. Go from schlub to swagger at vanheusen.com. By Nissan, innovation that excites. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the game's most...
You always had your own way of doing things.
We both do. Bob Kraft, Jonathan Kraft, and Jeff Immelt is there in the box as well. He's had a lot of happy nights here, but not so far tonight. It's been all Denver. And the pass is caught here by Danny Amendola out to the 13-yard line. He goes into the wind. So the Patriots, who will get the second half kickoff, have a 2nd and 5. Dookie Anacho is back in the game. Brady's pass is incomplete, thrown into the ground. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Yeah, just some pressure coming from Von Miller up inside here, and so far Tom Brady, now when he sees Von Miller, I think he's almost ducking out of there. You got to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to have to punt this football away into the wind and give him one more shot.
Well, Denver can take a timeout if the clock is still running at the end of this play, and that is moot right now because they pick up the 1st down as Edelman takes the ball out to the 20-yard line. Important in the sense that now at least Denver will not get the ball in all likelihood. Timeout, 40 seconds. It's been a while since Bill Belichick has watched his team perform like this in this stadium. But we can actually think about the last time it happened. It was a year ago in a crazy game against San Francisco from the 20-yard line. And this is Vereen going nowhere after they've taken a timeout. Now they're just going to run the clock out. Unless Denver wants to start taking its timeouts. Again, quarterback comparison is, well, New England's going to take a timeout. Odd under the circumstances. They're not going anywhere with this. With these play calls. Look at that. 3 sacks tonight. Of course, the wind has been a big factor. Under the category, or in the category of don't touch that dial, we were here last year, Chris, as we all know. Rainy night in December. It was 17-3 San Francisco at the half. 49ers had a 31-3 lead. And New England scored 28 straight points. And then it was Kaepernick who got hot again and led San Francisco to a wild win.
Different cast of characters for this Patriots offense. They have not been nearly as good this season.
2nd and 9, and now Brady throws, and that's Gronkowski, who's had a quiet night. Flag comes in. Dookie Anacho makes the tackle.
And Tom Brady was hot after that play. I think he took a shot from Malik Jackson.
Pass interference, offense, number 80, 10-yard penalty, replay 2nd down.
So the pass goes to Gronkowski, but it's Amendola with offensive pass interference.
A lot of these crossing routes over the middle. And you'll see Amendola come across here, really just try and set a pick for Gronkowski. And if that's pass interference, then it's going to be called on every single play that the Denver Broncos and Patriots run.
Get off to Vereen, so we haven't seen Ridley since that fumble, and that opened up the floodgates for Denver. And now Denver's going to take a timeout. Why not? With 21 seconds, you got a 3rd down and 16, and if you force a punt, it's into that wind, and this half may very well end with a Matt Prater field goal attempt.
Yeah, I mean, you got all the possibilities, right? The fair catch, the free kick, all those kinds of things start coming into play as a possibility here.
And also, you got a snap on a punt. We saw what happened the last time. It's like
that hard
a couple of minutes ago. Painting the outside corner. They're going to chew up some clock here. You got Vereen, and Denver's going to take another timeout. They're going to get the ball back. So Denver uses its last time out. That was just wacky. I mean, New England looking like they're going to run the clock out. They were taking timeouts. If you're going to take a timeout, you can't run inside handoffs from your own 20-yard line.
Well, in fairness, they got a bad call. I mean, that's not pass interference. So if that's what it was that they were calling, and that stopped the clock as well and backed them up and took away any shot that they had, and it may lead to points because with Holiday going back there, anything can happen.
I mean, the strategy was flawed to begin with him. If you're on 20 going into the wind, calling a timeout and then running inside draws, don't get it.
I don't get anything going on. This does not look like the New England Patriots team that we have seen over the years.
Ryan Allen. So the snap is important, and then we'll see what he does with this kick because it's into a wall of wind. Good snap this time. Allen's kick is end over end, and Holiday is going to lose it. It's going to be picked up, and boy, I tell you what, that would have been the all-timer had it been running from that spot. So Holiday, and we talked about the adventures he has had, he's an electrifying returner, but has had all kinds of issues holding onto the ball, especially in the wind right here.
By the receiving team, recovered by the kicking team. It cannot be advanced. It will be New England's ball. The spot of recovery, 1st and 10.
Al, I was a punt returner for a long time, and one of the reasons Bill Belichick always has a left-footed punter is for that reason right there. As a return guy, you're not used to seeing that ball spin the other way. Now you add the wind, you add the elements, the cold out here, and Holiday just didn't even get close to catching that ball.
And on top of it, you put a guy in who's having all sorts of issues. That's the reason last year Holiday came over, he was spectacular, but one of the reasons Houston let him go was because of things like that. We're at his welcome with the Texans. Denver picked him up, and now he gives Brady one last shot. Dancing around, throwing into a lot of traffic, and it's incomplete. Nearly picked off, wouldn't have mattered anyway, but Rogers Cromartie gets hurt on the play as he comes back. So Rogers Cromartie writhing on the ground, but collectively New England is writhing after the first half. 24-0 Denver. Toyota halftime next after these words from your local station. That's downtown Boston. Sunday night football coming to you from Foxborough. And, of course, the 3 turnovers were huge. Denver able to cash in to take a 17-0 lead, make it 24-0. And who would have believed, as I look at the numbers here, 23 rushing plays for the Denver Broncos in the first half.
Well, we talked about it in the open. Sometimes it can turn into a bit of a tough man competition. So for the Burger King inside edge, let's talk about the tough guys up front. Despite all those turnovers, they still had to convert them, and this offensive line, especially the interior 3, Zane Beadles, Manny Ramirez, Luis Vasquez, just simply took over the game against the depleted front of the New England Patriots without Vince Wilfork in there. But this was really the killer. The screen pass on 3rd and 20. They convert, leads to the last Jacob Tamme touchdown pass, but no Sean Marino, those offensive linemen. And then finally, Peyton Manning, and that is it. That's the Burger King Inside Edge. Check out more insights for today on NBC Sports Live Extra.
Broncos 137 rushing yards in the first half. Second most in any Peyton Manning start. And that would include the Colts era. For Bill Belichick on the other side of the coin, 24-point halftime deficit, largest in his career as a head coach, and that would also include his tenure with the Cleveland Browns in the 90s for 5 seasons.
You know, Al, it's really interesting, though, that both these teams were anxious to play in this game because of the weather, the conditions, very playoff-like weather out here, especially the Denver Broncos. they knew they had to begin to transform their offense from that high-flying passing game of the first couple of months of the season to more of a grinded-out kind of a football team. And I think they have certainly proven that they are capable of carrying this through the playoffs, and because now more and more it's starting to look like they will have home field advantage in the playoffs.
And that's why, Chris, this was such a huge game. I mean, a New England win would have made them, or would make them 8-3. Would make Denver 9-2. The kickoff with the win will go sailing through the end zone. They'll take it at the 20, and we'll take it down to Michelle.
Well, I just spoke with Bill Belichick, Al, and he said we simply have to play better. We haven't done anything well. As for an update on Marcus Cannon, his right tackle, he said they're still working on him. Really still questionable to return. Jack Del Rio up 24-0. He said we got to continue to pressure Tom Brady, and he was going to tell his team, we just got to finish this ball game. No word yet on the health of Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, Al.
All right, thank you. Michelle Rodgers-Cromartie hurt at the end of the first half, but he did get up just as we went to the halftime break. We start with Tompkins, who picks up 10 yards as Kembrell Tompkins makes his first catch of the night. Rookie out of Cincinnati. First half numbers not particularly impressive in terms of the total yardage and all of that, but there it is right at the bottom. 3 turnovers for New England. The Denver turnover was meaningless because it came at the end of the first half and left Brady with only 5 seconds from midfield. 2nd and 1. Here's Bolden, and he'll move the chains.
Well, I think the biggest difference in this Denver Broncos defense has been the additions of Terrence Knighton, Sean Phillips. We talk about his sack numbers, 9 sacks coming into this game, but how much better he is against the run. Kevin Vickerson continues to grow as a player inside, very deep inside. Mitch Unrein, a good defensive line, and they're playing the run so much better.
Brady off play action pass is caught. This is Tompkins, who'd gotten off to a good start this season, and then when the guys who were injured came back and were healthy, he's seeing less and less action.
Well, Tom Brady's wasting no time now with Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie out of the game. He is beginning to attack the rookie Kayvon Webster. That is 2, and they messed up the first coverage that they had. So now let's see if they're finding a little niche out here they can take advantage of.
A gain of 10 yards, first down, ball at the 43-yard line. Don't have to tell you what the Patriots really need is a quick early touchdown. Brady slings it to the outside. The ball starts to sail, but it's hauled in by Tompkins. So Tompkins slow in getting up. Did not catch a pass in the first half. Has caught 3, but now needs attention. Free agent rookie out of Cincinnati.
Watch this ball, Al. Watch the thing. I mean, Kembrell Tompkins, it's all he can do to figure out, is it going up? Is it going down? He kind of had his hands on it, then it started to sail. I tell you, I know we're getting a little softer as we get older, but
we are
going down on that field, it was unbelievable how cold it was and windy sitting down in the tunnel for that pregame show. Just trying to complete a pass out here tonight's not easy.
The always unflappable Bob Costas even fell victim to that win. Well, nothing like setting up a pregame set in a wind tunnel. That was great.
Oh my goodness. Belichick.
It's great. 2nd down and 4 from the 49-yard line. And Brady throwing it wide open is Gronkowski. And Rob Gronkowski all the way inside the 20-yard line.
Boy, Danny Amendola, you're talking about a pick. If the one before was a penalty, what the heck was that one? They are just being bold right now. Just Amendola took a shot at Gronkowski's man coverage guy. Comes right inside, and bango, right there, Dookie and Nacho got drilled, and they got away with one.
2 safeties at the end of the play. Shane Vereen is in the backfield. The ball at the 18-yard line. Brady throws, and the pass is caught by Shane Vereen. Vereen had to reach down. He's got that cast on his wrist, but he's able to hang on, and that's a gain of 8 yards, 2nd and 2.
Well, same deal. That time it was Gronkowski going to set the pick for Vereen on the outside, but Wesley Woodyard there just Vereen has had the toughest time. He's an excellent receiver, but that is tough. Catching the ball under any conditions out here tonight in this wind, but had that cast, not easy.
Off his forearm. Got the Karen, 2nd and 2. Brady throws, and that's juggled and then hauled in by Julian Edelman. Catch is good. The ball is at the 5-yard line. Quentin Jammer with the coverage. It'll be 1st down and goal.
Interesting whether he had possession of that before he went out of bounds. Ball was bobbled all the way.
Can be challenged.
Off his hands, off his forearm.
Knee is down. Does he have control as he goes out of bounds? It was a 2nd and 2. And there is no challenge, and now it's 1st down and goal from the 5-yard line. And Brady will throw it, and Edelman is there and pulls it in for the touchdown. Beat Quentin Jammer on the play, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered for New England.
Picks all the way down the field that time. Excuse me, Al. That's all they did, all the way down the field. They're just taking advantage of all this man coverage, trying to get some different rubs out there, and that one could not have looked easier. This is really what you expect when you play against the Denver Broncos. You have to take advantage of the fact they want to play man coverage, get some picks. That no call on the one by Edelman, really the huge play to Gronk.
80 yards, 8 plays. They ran it once, threw it 7 times. And Gostowski for the point after. And they do it going in to the win. Brady on that drive was 7 of 7 for 76 yards. They ain't dead yet. 24-7. Guests on the Tonight Show coming up: Bette Midler, Garth Brooks, Quentin Tarantino, Christina Aguilera on the Tonight Show this week. Quincy Market in Boston. Sunday Night Football from Foxborough. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. New England getting on the board on their opening drive. This kick is into the wind. Here's Holiday, who won it back from the 7-yard line, but not very far. Only the 20-yard line. Matthew Slater, who's been to the Pro Bowl as a special teamer, showing you why right there with the tackle.
Matthew Slater here, the son of Jackie Slater, the great Hall of Famer. Number 18 coming down the field, going to get blocked. Hang in there, bounce around a little bit, come back and make the tackle. That's how you go to the Pro Bowl.
So 3.5 minutes into the second half. Manning will take the first snap from the pistol. Moreno is behind him. Moreno having a huge night. And we'll add to those numbers as he takes it up to the 25-yard line. He is tackled there by Ryan. That is 19 carries and 113 yards on the ground for Noshawn Moreno.
Chandler Jones got burned that time. He came down hard. He's been trying to help in the run game. That time they bounced right around him.
2nd and 4 from the 25-yard line. Call his number again, and Moreno takes the ball out to the 31-yard line to move the chains. A 1st down. Ryan again in on the stop.
Isn't it amazing? We talked about the possibility with all this wind of this turning into a tough man competition out here, and yet you just didn't expect it to be the Denver Broncos in this building to be able to take over the game on a physical nature, but that's what they've done.
Those 3 turnovers huge in the first half of the first quarter. Look at Moreno out to the 38-yard line. Harmon making the tackle. You look at Moreno. For so many years in the Shanahan regime, their running backs were low-round draft choices. Not Moreno in this regime.
Now, Zane Beadle's coming off his best game of the year. Went to the Pro Bowl a season ago. That time he kind of gave a little ground, made the D lineman commit, and then just took him the direction he wanted to go.
Papers and wrappers flying all around in the wind. Here goes Ball. You think about, I was talking about Denver draft choices. They had a 6th rounder by the name of Terrell Davis. He was pretty good. And of course, on the New England side, who do you think their best 6th round draft choice ever was?
No idea. Who would that be? Number 12 or something.
Tom Brady, the 199th man picked in the draft in 2000. Of course, on the other side, Manning, number 1 in 1998. Number 46 is ball up to the 48-yard line. Denver tonight has run a total of 43 plays, of which 28 have been on the ground.
And it really has been, and you've been talking about Noshawn Moreno so far tonight. Here's a guy that is just fallen under the spell of the work ethic of Peyton Manning, and you can see him when they're in practice together, just constantly going over and over and over and over what they want to do, protections, pass routes, and the running game.
Manning sets up the screen, and ball will lose the ball, and the Patriots are all over it, but the ball is still loose, and at the end of the day, who's got it? The Patriots had about 4 chances to come up with the ball. Of course, Thomas signals one way, the Patriots signal the other way, and New England has it.
I think it was finally Joe Villano who fell about on it, so here we go. We get, I'll tell you, this Dane Fletcher's come in here and had a big half. He's had a big impact on the game so far. Helmet right on the ball. Now watch all the opportunities to pick this thing up. It's like a circus on this play. Everybody takes a shot. And finally, you'll see, I think that's Joe Villano sneaking in there.
Or maybe Spikes. Meanwhile, Franklin had a golden opportunity to recapture it for Denver.
Wow. The game starts out with these kind of plays for the Denver Broncos, and now it's turnabout.
From the 32-yard line, Brady back to work, into the wind again, fires it complete, Vereen first down to the 21-yard line, tackled by Von Miller.
Well, it's one of those plays, Tom Brady's going to have to look over the middle of the field and start redirecting these middle linebackers. We saw it last week against Kansas City. They typically have somebody right in the middle of the field waiting there, and if Tom Brady can move that guy a little bit, Shane Vereen, Gronkowski, those guys are going to start making some plays.
So a ball in the Denver sideline. He also fumbled in last week's game against Kansas City. Brady going to the end zone and one-handed away at the end. The ball fluttering, intended for Tompkins. Kayvon Webster got a hand on it. Mike Adams
rubbing and all that kind of stuff down the field, but I really think it was more of just Tompkins sort of falling to the ground on his own. I thought that was a good no call.
And the wind wreaking havoc with the throw. 2nd and 10. Here's Bolden, and Bolden banging his way inside the 15 to the 14-yard line, setting up a 3rd and 3 halfway through the 3rd quarter.
And here's really what you need a lot of. The 2 number 1 picks, Solder and Mankins, kind of driving down and then coming around. Let's play some power football out here. We're into the wind. You know, let's just get it going a little bit. Let's be the Patriots. Let's be the team that wins championships. And they've done exactly that to start the second half.
3rd and 3. Trips right. 1-3 receivers that way. Brady goes the other way. Over the middle. Caught by Gronkowski. And Gronkowski trying to get to the end zone. He will come up just short. Very similar play to the one in Carolina on Monday night when he was able to drag a couple of the defenders across the goal line. This time he almost did it, but sets up a 1st and goal.
And here you go. If you're Tom Brady, you get him right up to the line of scrimmage. Don't let him substitute in and get that goal line defense in. But he's got Shane Vereen, not typically his goal line runner, in the backfield.
With the reason, of course, Stephen Ridley fumbled early in the game, hasn't seen action since. They give it to Vereen, and Vereen won't get there on 1st down. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and goal. And there's Monte Ball. His fumble has enabled New England to get into this position.
I tell you, Von Miller doesn't get enough credit for the way that he plays that run. But Gronkowski, just like he did a week ago, got Iheanacho on the outside, and this is just big boy football here. He dragged them all into the end zone last week and very nearly did it again.
They get Devlin as the fullback. Bolden is the running back on second down and goal. They give it to Bolden, and he is in. Touchdown. And so after one of the worst first halves ever for a Bill Belichick coach team, New England is right back in the game.
Well, right there is the horse. Logan Mankins is just going to drive him right back into the end zone. James Devlin, the fullback, a good block. But this is what the Patriots had to reestablish. Almost reestablish your manhood in a game like this. And how many of the points now have been scored into the win? I mean, this is really an incredible occurrence for a game with this kind of conditions out here, for almost all the points to be scored into the win.
Absolutely, and down 24-0 and having to go into the win. Gronkowski with a catch that took him to the 1-yard line. They're still looking at whether or not Bolden got into the end zone. Of course, all scoring plays are reviewed. Here's another look at it for you. To assume in the middle of that pile he's in. Confirmed. Extra point by Gostowski is good. 5:40 remaining in the third quarter. All set up by the Monte Ball fumble. All of a sudden it is a 10-point game in Foxborough. Thanksgiving night, Thursday night. Hope you'll join us. Coverage starts at 8 Eastern time. We'll be in Baltimore. It's the Steelers and the Ravens, and then on Sunday night we'll head down to D.C. where it's the Giants and the Redskins. A week from tonight on Sunday Night Football. Well, maybe this will turn into a Manning-Brady shootout. Who knows?
Got to remember, Tom Brady's going to have the win in the fourth quarter. Well, I'm not sure it matters.
Here's Holiday from the 12-yard line. Trendon Holiday with a good return. Bumped out of bounds up at the 34-yard line, and the flag is down.
Looks like that one's going to come back for a little hold.
Change territory.
Holding number 97 of the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down, Denver. Timeout.
Malik Jackson, 5.5 remaining in the third quarter. 24-14 Broncos. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Old Spice. Get unnecessary freshness and start winning everything today. By Hyundai, new thinking, new possibilities. By Xfinity, your home for the most live Steelers, Ravens. After your turkey at 8 o'clock. 5.5 to go, third quarter. They start with Moreno to the outside, and they run him down just about at the line of scrimmage. Rob Ninkovich making the tackle.
Yeah, and I think the Denver Broncos have to be careful at this point in the game. They have to stay aggressive here and play this win, and if they're going to throw it, it's going to be very difficult in the fourth quarter. They need scores in this quarter. They need them now.
Wind 20 miles an hour. They're with it. Going against it, obviously, in the fourth. Manning to the outside, and that is caught by Wes Welker, but only for a very short gain. Tackled there by Ryan, and Welker has been basically a non-factor tonight. 2 catches, 8 yards.
And look at the throws that have been available to Peyton Manning. Classic Belichick. Lock them down inside. They want to throw those outs. Have at it. We'll give you that one. Waving his arms.
4 separate times. 3rd and 5, and over the middle, it's caught by Welker, and West takes it to the 37, and that silences the crowd.
Here goes West right there, and they're going to end up coming down underneath. And that time it looked like Jamie Collins, the linebacker that's been playing in this game, the Patriots want so much to hit the receiver. But I tell you, these are big first downs. With that kind of momentum shift as an offense, the very worst thing that can happen to you is come out there and go 3 and out. So a couple of big plays there by Peyton.
3:30 left in the third. 2nd and 5. They call Moreno's number again. Wasn't the cleanest handoff. No gain. It'll be 3rd down and 5. No Sean Moreno. 24 carries tonight for 132 yards.
I tell you, Dane Fletcher's had an impact on this game. Number 52 coming in, a backup linebacker, is diagnosing these runs beautifully and has really made an impact. He has sort of changed this defense.
4th-year guy out of Montana State is Fletcher. 3rd down, 5 from the 42. Manning drops the ball and recovers it himself at the 34-yard line. That was Jamie Collins, the rookie linebacker, who came in. So Denver able to retain possession, but now they'll punt.
A little nod here. Dane Fletcher comes in, and then Jamie Collins comes around and basically runs over Noshawn Moreno, and the ball's on the ground again. I can't remember a game with these two quarterbacks, with these two teams, where the ball is just, they can't handle it. It's just too cold.
With the win, Polk with the kick. Julian Edelman back for New England. And Edelman from the 24-yard line, looking for room, has some, and then gets tackled by his ankle at the 34-yard line by Monte Ball. But back comes Brady with 2 minutes left in the third in a 10-point game.
And I'd like to do some fancy steps for you.
that was and then Bolden is the running back. And injury woes mounting for Denver right now as the pass is caught. This is Tompkins. You got Rogers Cromartie's out for the rest of the game. He got hurt at the end of the first half, shoulder injury. David Bruton, another safety for Denver, was hurt on the last play before we went to the commercial.
And Denver, who is very much a man-to-man team, now has backed off and playing a little zone defense. This is not a natural set of circumstances for them, but they have been going after Kayvon Webster so hard, I think that they're basically changing their approach now.
426 power! All right. 426 power! 52! Half a go!
Just pointed to Woodyard, 52. Good protection, deep downfield, getting open to the 15 is Edelman. It's going to be 1st and goal. He's forced out inside the 10. Surgically picking apart those holes in that Denver secondary and getting great protection as well. 44 yards.
Brady did a great job there of making that sound like a run audible, and he just had all the time in the world. They ended up playing the run on that one, and Edelman is weaving his way down the field for a big play.
Brady rolling right, directing traffic, hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete outside the tackle box. No grounding. Vickerson put the pressure on. 2nd and goal.
I'll go back to the big play. You're going to pull Logan Mankins out. It looks like a run to Bolden, and meanwhile Julian Edelman is just crisscrossing and weaving his way down the field. Man coverage, you have to cover somebody for 5 seconds, you're in trouble.
Yeah, he was. There's the call by Brady on that play. He was bracketed vertically, was Edelman, and then swung to the outside. Vereen is the back here. 2nd down and goal from the 8. Vereen, he's done all of the heavy lifting tonight after Ridley fumbled early and Blunt, and in his stead, fumbled as well. So it's been almost all Vereen out of the backfield with some Bolden as well. 3rd and goal.
You know, it's so interesting. Oh boy, now we got Vickerson down again.
Yeah, 2nd time he's been hurt. So an injury timeout. 3rd and goal when we come back. So 3rd down and goal as they help Vickerson to the sideline. He's out. Sylvester Williams, the rookie, comes in. Meanwhile, Bolden went to the locker room. Their safety who got hurt on a special teams play. Rogers Cromartie is out for the rest of the game. And Tom Brady going to work here on 3rd and goal.
52. Linda.
Here.
White 20. White 20.
Over the middle. Caught. Touchdown. He plays 65 yards and only took him 95 seconds. And 21 unanswered points for the Pats.
And it has really just been big boy football, whether they're running the football or Gronk going down, running right into Wesley Woodyard. If you want to throw a flag, throw a flag. I don't care. I'm playing the way that I play. Gets away with it, and we have a ball game.
Point after by Gostowski. And all of this into a win that averages about 20 miles per hour. Tale of two halves.
There we go, right there. Watch him come down and just slam right in the Wesley Woodyard. There you go. Woodyard tries to get the call, doesn't get it. And this is sort of like playoff action. You almost get the feeling now they're going to let this game go a little bit. They're going to let them play football out there. And right now, as much as it played into the Broncos' hands in the first half, watch this. Tom Brady. Everybody thinks Gronkowski's crazy. Brady's nuts right now. Saying, yeah, what does it take for pass interference? You tell me.
You know who's enjoying this right now, but certainly didn't enjoy the first half? Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, who got upset today in a crazy game in Kansas City, and they need desperately a Denver loss.
Yeah, you know, we were waiting for it. You almost knew in this building with Tom Brady down 24-0, it wasn't over, but you felt almost a little silly saying it. But you knew in your heart that it wasn't over, and now Tom Brady's going to work for the whole fourth quarter with the wind at his back. Pressure shifts in a big way to Peyton Manning now.
I can't lie to you, I thought it was over. Here's Holiday at the 4-yard line. Brings it back to the 14-yard line. All Holiday wants to do these days is hold on to the football.
Yeah, I don't blame him. That was, you know, it was that fumbled punt, that muff punt before the half that set up the injury to Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie on the Hail Mary at the end. And that injury has seriously changed this game. It's changed the defensive strategy for the Broncos, and Tom Brady's starting to pick them apart.
So Manning, who has only 15 more seconds to go with the win, I'm wondering if that even matters the way Brady worked into the win in this quarter. Starts with the Moreno run. And Noshawn having a yeoman night up to the 22-yard line. That's going to take us to the end of the quarter as Noshawn Moreno ends the third quarter with 139 rushing yards. End of 3 in what's turned out to be a wild one. 24-21 Denver, and Sunday Night Football continues after these messages.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
Foxborough, Massachusetts. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle DeFoya. Sunday Night Football. New England 21 third quarter points. We start the fourth. It is 2nd down and 3 for the Denver Broncos from their own 22-yard line, going into the wind in the final period. And C.J. Anderson has his first carry of the night and has a first down out to the 26-yard line, and we check in with Michelle.
Well, injuries continue to mount for the Denver defense. Safety Omar Bolden is back in the locker room being evaluated for a concussion. He is questionable. And defensive tackle Kevin Vickerson, his hip injury, he's questionable at this time, being worked on the trainer's table, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And also on offense, and the pass at the 30-yard line is picked off by Logan Ryan. Into the wind, he throws the ball, intended for Decker. The pressure was put on the corner blitz by Kyle Arrington. And already in field goal range with the interception.
Logan Ryan, you see how quickly he gets his eyes back to the football. They say that is his best attribute. The blitz came. Peyton Manning felt like he had to get rid of it quickly, gets undercut by Logan Ryan, and this young rookie is having a major impact. It was close. You kind of always look at those to see whether or not does it hit the ground, does it not, but that one looked pretty clean.
Reviewed, confirmed, the ball is at the 30-yard line.
Unbelievable.
Tommy!
Running back is Bolden.
Hey! Cougar! Cougar! 52!
And Bolden, and he's going to get met because that was Kayvon Webster coming in on the run blitz from the corner to take him down.
Well, this is just getting wilder, and now you can see Jack Del Rio and company on the other side. They've had enough. It's time for them to start playing aggressive. Time for them to start taking some chances. It was their defense that flipped this game in the first half, and their defense needs to make a play right here.
Second down and 9. Off the play fake. Caught. Gronkowski. First down. Tackled by Mike Adams to the 14.
It's just so hard to go hard play action, and you see these linebackers go firing up in there, and then Brady just takes it right in behind him. They work that play beautifully against Carolina and come right back here again the same kind of way. And boy, sometimes when Tom Brady gets hot, just looks like it's going to be impossible to stop him.
5 catches for Gronkowski for 71 yards.
Alert! 52! Winning!
And that's caught at the 10. Edelman spinning away. New England takes the lead. The interception, 3 plays, 30 yards in 74 seconds.
Go figure that Julian Edelman, the guy who early in the year, because of all the injuries to all the receivers, stepped up, is the leading receiver on this team. And it is Julian Edelman, a guy who hasn't been much of a factor here lately as these guys have gotten healthy, comes back with the big one, and oh my goodness, what a turnaround.
6 catches tonight for number 11. Gostowski for the point after. 4 possessions in this half. 4 touchdowns. We told you don't touch that dial, right?
Wow.
28-24 Patriots. There's TD Garden in Boston, and Thanksgiving afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, an original 6 matchup as the New York Rangers take on the Boston Bruins. Right there. You see it Thanksgiving Day NBC at 1 Eastern Time. 28 straight points scored by New England. Gostowski kicking off. And Holiday will field it in the end zone and take a knee. Well, Peyton Manning has never lost an NFL game after having a lead of 22 or more. That would be 50 games, 50 in the regular season, 2 in postseason. Funny, of all the matchups with these guys, we talked to both of them through the week and asked them about their most memorable. It was that championship game following the 06 season. For Manning, it was a phenomenal day. They were down 21-3, came back, won the game, went on to win the Super Bowl. And it's all Brady can think about, despite his wins, was that blown lead that day. Moreno takes the ball out to the 22-yard line.
Well, I tell you, this Chandler Jones has had such a nice game tonight. He is throwing his body around in ways that have just been so impressive between he and Brandon Spikes. I mean, there have just been blow-up hits between those two guys.
Peyton Manning tonight, 11 out of 18 for 73 yards. And that pass is incomplete. Sailing again. Walker and Virgil Green were both in the neighborhood. 3rd and 8.
It Wes Welker going against Kyle Arrington, a guy he kind of trained in training camp. Those two guys would go at it all the time in practice, and for Arrington, he's grown up a lot since then. Well, they need a play from somebody here. This is where Julius Thomas so many times will make a play for him. Not here tonight. Show blitz from Jamie Collins, number 91. We'll see.
And again, the pass is incomplete, and looking for a flag is Demarius Thomas. Doesn't get it. Aqib Talib with the coverage. Denver's first 3 plays with a punt.
See, Aqib Talib gets away with a hold there. He grabs the back of Demarius Thomas's jersey, and by doing so slowed him down just enough. This is always Peyton Manning's answer when he's getting blitzed. Aqib Talib was in trouble. He's going to get picked on the play, grabbed the jersey, got away with it.
Polk with the punt. Edelman comes up to his own 40-yard line. Fields it at the 33. Trying to get around the left side. And he will. And Julian Edelman will be forced out of bounds in Denver territory. 4-point Patriot lead, and they have the ball back. Through the years with Peyton Manning, most of those years, of course, at Indianapolis, and Tom Brady, who's been the starter here since early in the 2001 campaign, meeting for the 14th time, 11th time in a regular season matchup. Brady's won 7 of the 10. 2-1 is Tom in postseason play. But of course, it's that memorable comeback by Manning and the Colts to lead to the Super Bowl win, coached by Tony Dungy, and both guys telling us that is their most memorable game. Certainly not a happy memory for Tom that day, but trying to make a happier one tonight, obviously, as Shane Vereen swings to the outside and gets forced out of bounds by Mike Adams after a gain of 7. Largest deficit to overcome, 21 points against the Bears all the way back in 2002. Did it against the Bills 2 years ago and trailed by 24 at halftime tonight, 24-0.
I don't think Peyton Manning would ever admit it, but if you want to see him bristle a bit, talk about Tom Brady's 3-1 Super Bowl advantage, or the record that Tom Brady has against him.
2nd down and 4. It's caught for a first down. And everything goes flying there with Gronkowski making the catch.
Every time Dookie and Nacho's around, something's going flying. He just has some big hits throughout the course of the night. But Gronkowski now is starting to have his way. They wanted to get him in space. They felt like that Gronk against either one of these excellent cover linebackers of the Denver Broncos in space would have the advantage, and it's starting to shape up that way.
Play action as time. And it's juggled and should have been intercepted by Wesley Woodyard, who may have turned around to look upfield. Intended for Shane Vereen, and Woodyard had it right in his hands and was starting to look upfield to run with it and dropped it.
Talked about the cast. He doesn't handle the ball, and this time Woodyard just cannot find the handle. I mean, these are, oh my goodness, game-changing plays that the Broncos so desperately need one right now.
2nd and 10. New England had those 3 early turnovers. Denver's turned it over 3 times since. Brady on 2nd and 10. That's caught for a short gain. Danny Amendola over the middle takes the ball to the 31-yard line. 3rd and 6 upcoming.
Danny Amendola, one of those guys that came over here and they felt like they had good chemistry going, but then he missed so many of the games with that groin injury, and they're just kind of having to start from scratch. You know, he said, how long will it take you to get to what you have with Wes Welker? He said, we may never get to that. You know, I just knew what he was going to do on the field.
Three-man rush, and the pass is caught. It's Vereen for a first down. Needed 6, got 7.
Well, we've been talking about it, getting these linebackers in space. Here's Wesley Woodyard on the outside. It's one thing to cover a running back when he's coming out of the backfield. It's quite another to cover him when you split him out. An excellent strategy here by Josh McDaniels. It's really starting to pay off and starting to work now. It's Gronkowski, it's Vereen beginning to take over this game.
Bolden is the running back. They give it to him. Gets tackled at the 20-yard line and a flag is thrown. Broncos indicating against New England. Gene Steratore confirms.
Offense, number 88, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Backup tight end Matthew Mulligan put a touchdown pass earlier this season in a Sunday night game in Atlanta.
Michael Ho'omanawanui not in the game because of a knee injury. So Mulligan has to take his place. Here we go right here. Tail end of this play. You'll see him just sort of take down Sean Phillips. And now the Broncos have to take advantage.
1st and 20 from the 32-yard line.
180. Linda. Out.
Brady under pressure, hit as he throws, and the pass is low. He was jarred as he threw it. Von Miller came in to make contact with him. There's a flag all the way downfield at the 13-yard line. Flag about 19 yards from the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, Danny Trevathan in coverage has been doing a little grabbing.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense, number 36. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Kayvon Webster turns a 1st and 20 into a first down.
Boy, this has just been a nightmare since Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie went out of this game. Here's a little shot to the face mask, and that's what gets called. And the automatic first down is killer in that situation.
It would have been a 2nd and 20. And this is Brandon Bolden getting a yard. Well, quarterback comparison, of course, Brady has been on fire in the second half. 291 yards and Manning only 73 yards, or less than 4 yards per pass.
You know, Al, they talked about having Champ Bailey available this week. He's practiced for a couple of weeks. They decided not to, but now with Rodgers-Cromartie out of there, well, you just wonder how much they maybe regret that decision now.
2nd and 8, play action again, pass caught, first down, 13-yard line, Kenbrell Tompkins. So Brady just spreading it around, 6 different receivers tonight. Tompkins catches his 5th pass.
So now they take their shot with Quentin Jammer on the outside, trying to do some of the same things that Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie could do, just unable to do it. And this Kenbrell Tompkins, it's not always pretty when they're throwing the ball to him, but we certainly have seen him come up with some big plays so far this season, and maybe the biggest one of all against the Saints to win that game.
So Champ Bailey played another 2 games. They hope to have him back in Kansas City next week. Here's Bolden tackled by Miller.
And now you have to begin to talk about the significance of touchdown versus field goal in this situation. Boy, wouldn't you like to have been in there in halftime with Bill Belichick? He's great at halftime adjustments and all that. I'm going to guess he jumped their shorts pretty good in there, because when they came back out a physical football team in the second half.
2nd and 9. And a fade is thrown and incomplete, intended for Gronkowski. He had Danny Trevathan, the linebacker, with him. So with the wind, trying to paraglide it into him.
Yeah, all you want to do is try and create a jump ball, but Trevathan, we were talking about it just a minute ago, not afraid to get his hands on the receivers. There you go, the ball's in the air, and it threw off Gronk just enough and didn't give him a chance to get to that football, but no call.
3rd and 9.
Just bunch down at the bottom. They run some crazy routes from there.
Big stop here for the Denver defense. to keep it a one-possession game, and it's Edelman who can't come down with it in the end zone. And Brady gets decked as he releases it. So it's 4th down, and New England settling for a field goal attempt.
Brady's going to look this one off, but he should have been looking at Von Miller, who was whistling around the edge, and I think made him just hurry that one a little bit. Nice spin move on Speed Tech on the outside. Just hurried it enough to make them settle for the field goal, and that is big.
31-yard attempt for Steven Gostowski. And Gostowski bangs it through with 7:37 left in regulation. 31-24, Pats. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Wendy's. Now that's better. By BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. By Walmart, the first and only place to go on Black Friday. And by American Hustle in Peters, December. Downtown Boston on this very, very frigid Sunday night.
It's going to be Black Sunday in Denver. They end up blowing this lead.
Very black. 31-24 with the win. Gostowski's kick. Holiday's going to drop it and then down it right there. This guy's having a heck of a time over the last month. Just holding onto the ball. Second half. The score was 24-0 at the break.
And they started coming out with all those pick plays and went right down the field, right into the wind, and then Tom Brady and Gronk started to take over. But Julian Edelman really has had a huge half now. 2 touchdowns already, leading receiver, 6 catches for 88 yards. It's been Edelman, it's been Gronkowski, it's been Vereen, and lately Kimbrell Tompkins has been making some big plays.
So now Manning down by 7, starts from the 20-yard line. Pressure put on. Intercepted at the 30-yard line. Flag is down. Aqib Talib for the moment brings it to the 19-yard line. You had Brandon Spikes making contact with Manning.
That's coming back.
It is coming back because the Broncos are staying out on the field.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 31. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Talib, so it's a very short-lived celebration.
Yeah, and we were just about to talk about Demaryius Thomas and how Aqib Talib has been shutting him out so far. No catches, and that's going to be called a hold right there. And for Peyton Manning, it is a reprieve. But Talib has had a huge night so far against the #1 threat, and he hasn't had a lot of help.
From the 25, on the ground. Moreno picks up about 4 to the 29. Turnovers has been the story tonight. New England 3 early ones, and Denver able to capitalize with 17 points, and then the 3 by Denver, and New England capitalizing for 14 points. 7 minutes to go in regulation. 2nd down and 5. Manning's pass is caught. Welker for the moment. Forward progress netted in the 1st down, and they will give him that progress. Tackled by Harmon, Deron Harmon, the rookie out of Rutgers, and it moves the chains.
They're going to come across the field. They've got a little in and out coverage, so they're going to let him go. The safety, Ron Harmon's supposed to come down there and pick that up. That's a coverage they've been working on Welker all night, basically able to double him because Julius Thomas is not in.
The ground, big hole, Moreno into Patriot territory to the 47-yard line. Good block by Chris Clark, left tackle on Jones, gain of 18 yards.
Well, Zane Beadle's the Pro Bowler right here. Going to make that block, and then when the linebacker, I think that was Fletcher, tried to jump over top of that double team, there was nobody left to the outside to make the play.
Beatles and Clark helping to provide that highway for him. C.J. Anderson is in at running back right now. Manning,
how much C.J. Anderson knows.
Oh, that's why Manning just repositioned him. Pass is caught. This is Demaryius Thomas. And Thomas to the 35-yard line. So
National Football League this year, just give him a chance. Let him get his hands on the ball because he's been doing that all year, making big plays out of short passes.
Manning still under 100 yards tonight. 13 to 22 for 89 yards from the 36-yard line. Payton up on his toes, and then Welker drops it at the 35-yard line.
Well, you have to be careful running across the middle against this Patriots team. Watch Dane Fletcher right here as Demaryius Thomas comes across the field, just completely shocks him, and then Wes Welker drops the ball. How many times do you see that?
Once too many for some New England fans. 2nd and 10 at the 36-yard line. Manning.
That's going to go on Chris Clark.
Holding. Offense. Number 75. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 2nd down.
He just hooked Rob Ninkovich coming around the outside. I know he's trying to do the best he can. He had a good game last week, but you also have to understand who your quarterback is. They got hooked on both sides.
Yeah.
Lando Franklin did the same thing to Chandler Jones on the other side. That's a double hook.
6-yard line. Manning throwing, caught just before stepping out of bounds. Good grab by Thomas. Stayed in bounds. Got position on Talib. And a gain there of 15 yards, setting up a 3rd down and 5 next.
Such an incredible throw here. The window for that throw was about a foot. And Peyton Manning just beyond the outreached arm of Aqib Talib.
Moreno back in. Big 3rd and 5. Manning throws, and it is caught at the 20-yard line by Jacob Tamme. Great catch by Tamme.
And he came in and had the big year. Well, he's kind of followed Peyton Manning around, and every time there's a key entry, he gets involved. Now without Julius Thomas getting it done again.
So they had a 2nd and 20. They converted on a 3rd and 5, 11 yards. 4 minutes to go. 1st down at the 20-yard line. 67 yards. He's carried the ball 29 times.
I tell you, Brandon Spikes inside is almost impossible to run that power play against because he just destroys guards pulling around.
Manning on a 2nd and 7, throwing. Incomplete. Looking around for a flag is Joel Dreesen. There is none. 3rd and 7.
Well, I know we don't see Peyton Manning run the football very often, but he had as much space as he wanted going around that edge. I just don't think it ever quite crossed his mind. Tried to get the ball down into Dreesen, but I mean, there was nobody there. That was a free 1st down for him.
Third and 7, and a timeout will be taken here by the Denver Broncos.
Well, some of the best throws we've seen all night from Peyton Manning. He is razor sharp here on that one, just outside of Aqib Talib's arms. Comes right back to Jacob Tamme. You can't be much better covered than that. And he's going to need one more. And I think this is probably 4-down territory down here.
Down and 7. Just to make sure they were totally set in the situation. Of course, every 3rd down in a game like this at this point in the game is huge. Manning comes up to the line. Totally agree on a 4-down situation here. First 3rd and 7.
Jamie Collins against Jacob Tammy. That might be the match he wants.
Manning hanging in, pass underthrown, and
cut right across the face of Rob Ninkovich, and he just hooked him.
Pass interference. Defense, number 50. Bottom of the foul. Automatic. First down.
Yep. 2 minutes for hooking.
It's a good call. Watch Ninkovich here as he crosses his face. Just going to reach out and grab him. It's a good call. Those Patriots fans are saying, where was that one last week?
Denver with 2 first downs by penalty on this drive. 1st and 10 from the 11. A fade, and it is caught by Thomas. 3:06 remaining in regulation. Manning, Brady. It would figure in the ultimate. 31-30. Read something the other day. I hadn't even thought about it. Since the Patriots last won a Super Bowl, the Red Sox have won 3 world championships. The Bruins have won the Stanley Cup. And Doc Rivers' Celtics a few years ago won the NBA Finals.
Your man.
Yeah.
The old Doc.
But think about that. That's what a decade it's been for
Fear the Beard.
Beantown. Great kick into the wind. It goes into the end zone where Devin McCourty will down. So the New England Patriots, who've had 5 possessions in the second half and scored on every one of them. 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and Brady will go to work from the 20.
Gets the play from Josh McDaniels, who was the former Broncos head coach. Release came right back here and is now going to be designing one of the most interesting drives of this season.
And they'll do it with Brandon Bolden starting at running back. They bunch 3 receivers to the left, and Bolden will look for some space over the left side, picks up 3 to the 23-yard line.
Oh, the Broncos haven't stopped them yet this half. It has been all Tom Brady all the time, touchdowns and just 1 field goal. And now they need a play. Von Miller was making plays earlier. Sean Phillips was making plays. It's going to come down to some man coverage opportunities on the outside, and they're going to have to do it without Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. And there is Dookie and Nacho at the top of your screen against Rob Gronkowski.
New England 249 yards in this half. And the pass is a little behind and caught by Vereen, but he gets tackled immediately by Danny Trevathan. So now a big 3rd down coming up. Second half possessions, TD, field goal.
Right now they'd settle for a 1st down.
And right now they're going to take it to the 2-minute warning. Denver has all of its timeouts. New England will have 2. 2 minutes remaining in regulation in Foxborough on Sunday Night Football. 31-31. 5-yard line.
180. 59, Linda.
Read it.
Wait 20. Wait 29.
Brady in the pocket. Hit as he throws, gets it away, but a good tackle is made short of the 1st down. Edelman tackled by Quentin Jammer. Longtime San Diego Charger, 12th year in the league, hanging right with him. Edelman comes limping off, and New England is forced to punt.
Here he comes, Von Miller around the edge. Got the good pressure, inside shoulder. And I couldn't help but think, but it was sort of 4th and 1, 4th and 2-ish. We've seen one of these situations before in which Bill Belichick decided to go for it. Not here.
So now you've got Wes Welker going back to receive this kick because Trendon Holiday has had all sorts of issues hanging onto the ball. So even more drama. Here's Welker back to receive the punt. Punting with the wind will be Ryan Allen. Brady back on the bench. Manning ready to go to work. Denver using a timeout here, so they'll have 2 when they get
themselves are hard to catch. With the crazy winds, it is an uncertainty.
part of the equation why Del Rio can't take a chance with Holiday trying to grab this one. Take a look across the league. Chris and I look ahead to our Thanksgiving night matchup in Baltimore with the Steelers and the Ravens coming up right after the game. So here's Manning, and you know what he's going to do right now. It's real simple. 134, not only try to get them obviously in the field goal range, but take as much time off that clock and leave Brady with nothing.
The field goal range here is probably inside the 30-yard line because of the wind conditions.
Manning throwing, starts with a 9-yard pickup to Jacob Temmey, the tight end.
Boy, isn't it nice to have somebody in your hip pocket that you're that familiar with? Tammy has had a big role in trying to get the Broncos back in this thing.
Second down, call it 2. Here goes Moreno, angling that shoulder, and that should move the chains as the clock ticks down to 1:05 and going down. First down at the 43-yard line. And again, Manning obviously trying to get him into field goal range, but using as much of the clock as he can along the way. Play action. Chase from behind, and he's going to dump it, but he's out of the tackle box. He was chased by Andre Carter. And of course the crowd wants grounding, but if you're outside the tackle box, and he clearly was, it's not.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. The quarterback.
Two guys who went head-to-head in practice for a number of years are at it here again.
Well, Kyle Arrington really learned so much over the years playing against, but give it back to Tom Brady one more time.
Especially not after an incomplete pass and just a couple of seconds off the clock. 3rd and 10.
Tom Brady with one more shot.
So Lee playing with a strained hip. All over Thomas all night long. As Colquitt's kick, and they put the rush on that time, takes a good Denver hop. Not only that, but it eats some more clock as well on its way down the sideline. And they'll spot the ball at the 11-yard line. 28 seconds remaining. AFC playoff picture right now. Of course, a lot depends on what's going to happen here. Denver either goes to 10-1 or 9-2. Right now, KC and Tennessee would be in the wild card spot. Despite a 5-6 record, the Pittsburgh, Baltimore, San Diego, the Jets, and Miami all in the hunt.
Well, and don't forget, if New England were to win out the situation, Tom Brady's first year, some very safe passes, maybe a little screen, something. See if it gets going.
Here's Edelman. And Edelman.
You would think here, the strategy always changes. You certainly don't want to get to 4th down, and with Denver with 2 timeouts remaining, you don't want to have one of those kind of situations either. So kind of a no big chances probably on either side here, I would think.
You would be correct. To the 20-yard line goes Shane Vereen. It's going to make it 3rd down and 2, and they're going to let the clock run all the way down, and the next big decision will be heads or tails on the call by Denver.
What else would you expect between these two legendary quarterbacks? Just another one for the history books here tonight.
Manning, Brady, 14 will go to overtime. Each team would get 3 timeouts. All replay reviews from the booth. Again, each team with an opportunity to possess the ball unless the team receiving the kickoff gets a touchdown or the defense scores a touchdown or a safety. Tied after 1 possession each. The next scorer wins. So it's real simple. You know the rules by now. They changed them a couple of years ago. You get a field goal, the other team gets the opportunity to get the ball back. You don't, it becomes complete sudden death.
Yeah, and I asked Jack Del Rio, would you ever consider taking the wind in this situation? Obviously, if you kick off to the other team and they score a touchdown, the game's over. He said if the wind was significant enough, perhaps, but in this game, there's been so much offense going into the wind.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Agree with you. Even though it's a prevailing wind left to right as we look at it out of the north.
Although I will say that I just watched Matt Prater out on the field making a few kicks, and he just kicked one with the wind about 55 to 60 yards into the crowd. So if he got a vote, I know how he would vote.
The rules of overtime are as follows. Each team will have 2 timeouts. Fourth quarter timing rules will be in effect. All replays will be upstairs. Both teams will have an opportunity to possess the football unless the first possession results in a touchdown or a safety. Visiting captain call the toss. Call is a head. There's a tail. He's on the clock. Which goal would you like to defend? Are you choosing to defend
they didn't
goal?
know
So you're going to stay in this
what
position
they were going to
you'd
do.
like to receive from this position. New England has won the toss, elected to defend. They will kick to Denver in this direction. Okay, man.
They are taking the win. Bill Belichick has decided to take the wind.
Right. Very interesting call. You would figure electing to make the wind the biggest factor. His team with its backs to the wind. So Gostowski will kick off. Kick. Will go out of the end zone. Peyton Manning will go to work at the 20-yard line in overtime in their career's regular season. Peyton 3-3, Tom 8-2.
You know, these new overtime rules have certainly changed the way that Bill Belichick thought about that. If he had to defend against a field goal on the first drive, probably doesn't do that with Peyton Manning, but because they would have to score a touchdown to beat him, he does.
Totally agree. Especially with the wind playing so much of a role. They start on the ground. They give it to
power football running. They're still playing the man coverage on the outside, still with 2 deep. There should be run opportunities. Brandon Spike's coming up and showing blitz, and he's like having an extra D lineman up there.
2nd and 2. Moreno again, huge hole out to almost midfield. He gets to the 47-yard line. Tackled by Devin McCourty, and that's 197 yards for him. 18 there.
Power football right over here. These guys have just done a fantastic job, and that's how they've gotten started tonight. And boy, if they take it down the field with their running game and a tired defense on the other side, this is going to be some conversation tomorrow.
The rookie C.J. Anderson is in there. Fake give to him. Manning hit as he throws, and the pass is dropped. Ninkovich came in. The pass intended for C.J. Anderson, intended for him.
Zane Beadle comes out and tries to block Ninkovich, but really just completely misses on the play.
2nd down and 10. Double slot to the right. On the ground. And this is C.J. Anderson. Boy, what a spot for a guy who...
Formations. Watch all the picks. Watch all the rubs. This is when it comes. Right up here, there'll be a lot of action.
Manning gets it away. It's caught, but it's going to be just a little short of the first down, at least with a naked eye. Jacob Tamme across the 45, and they're going to be just inches shy. And then a flag comes in just a couple of seconds ago. So some action afterwards. And of course, with New England clapping, you know what that means. Here comes Steratore to tell us.
There's a little pick play right in the middle of the field, and people...
It'll either be 4th down and 1 if they decline it, or 3rd and wherever he's going to spot the ball next.
Offense.
Coming across the field. Jamie Collins, the one that got picked, and that is monstrous. You can't be that obvious with those picks.
So Belichick turns down a 4th and 1 for his defense for 3rd and 14. Play clock at 5. Manning deep downfield, and it's broken up. Aqib Talib got a hand on it. Demaryius Thomas was the intended receiver. 4th down and 14.
I tell you, so many times I've seen Demaryius Thomas go up and make this play on the ball. Aqib Talib, one of the bigger, stronger cornerbacks in the game, comes up with it again. This game may well be decided with the mat.
For New England as Brady goes to work from his own 17-yard line.
This is when you need your superstars to step up. And if you're the Denver Broncos, you're looking right in the eyes of Von Miller and saying, now, we need you now.
Ball spotted at the 18-yard line. Give the ball to Bolden, and he will get thrust back immediately as he reaches the line of scrimmage by big number 94, Terrence Knighton.
Terrence Knighton came over from Jacksonville, and I tell you, he has made a huge difference. We talked about Knighton, we talked about Sean Phillips, and how much better this team is against the run. Remember, it was probably the Patriots a season ago with that 250-yard rushing performance that made them start looking around for better run defenders up front, and Knighton's had a big impact.
36! Read it!
They get tackled at the 30-yard line, and that's a first down. Mike Adams trying to rip the ball out, but Gronk holding on. First down.
Gronk's going to go up and cross the field here, working against the safety. It's almost unfair. Look how physical Gronk is, not trying to avoid contact, trying to initiate contact against the young rookie, Kayvon Webster. Too much to ask of him.
From the 31.
And Brandon Bolden's had to come in and pick up the slack.
There's Gostowski. There's Quentin Jammer and Kembrell Tompkins were there.
Tom Brady sprinted down the field to argue with the referees. Let's get a look at it.
Brady's still wild with the officials. New England's going to take a timeout just to settle down before 3rd and 4.
Well, you always talk about big moments of the game. The officials don't like to decide games either. Sometimes you can get a little more aggressive. But there's no doubt about it that Quentin Jammer was a little early on that one, and I thought impeded the receiver.
And there's your fertilizer chant again.
Yeah.
So 3rd down and 4 from the 37-yard line.
Well, time after time, we've seen it this year. Rob Gronkowski, the guy at the end of the game last week against Carolina where he wanted to go with the ball. And if they leave one-on-one matchups with him, unquestionably, that'll be the first look for Tom Brady. Man coverage you've got to expect here, so some of these pick plays a possibility too. 3 receivers down at the bottom.
Read it! Going 5 wide on a 3rd and 4. Three-man rush. 8 men in coverage. Going deep downfield and incomplete. Quentin Jammer covering Julian Edelman. Very interesting call on a 3rd down and 4. Very.
Well, let's give some credit out there to Quentin Jammer. They were going to attack him. He's the old guy on the field. Goes after the deep one, trying to end it right away. And Jammer another little grab, but that ball was thrown out of bounds.
Absolutely. Wasn't even catchable. So now Welker goes back to receive the kick. And that's Jammer who's down. So before the kick, Jammer needs some attention, as if the Broncos don't have enough issues in that secondary.
Couldn't see if his face hit the turf first. Sometimes your helmet will slam down on the bridge of your nose. Make the play. He gets tripped up and goes nose first.
And he's bloody, so signals over to the bench. A long-time Charger gets some attention on the sideline as play resumes now with Welker setting up at his own 17-yard line and Ryan Allen in for his 5th punt. Welker from the 12 and taken down at just about that spot. So no room to roam for him. The wind is now down a couple of miles an hour to 18. And Peyton Manning going into it.
Just so much on the line, not just season records, trying to pick the first spot in the NFL playoffs. There's Prater on the sidelines. But again, with the wind, you got to think somewhere around the 30-yard line at least he has to get. That's a long way from here.
From the 13. Peyton in the pistol. Gives it to Moreno. Moreno's out to the 19-yard line, and that's going to push him over 200 yards on the ground tonight. 202. He's carried the ball 33 times, about 6 yards a carry.
And they've done most of it tonight over that right side with Ramirez and Vasquez and Orlando Franklin.
On 2nd and 4, Moreno again. This is going to set up a huge 3rd and 1. Ninkovich making the tackle.
They're making a lot of hay with these inside moves. Rob Ninkovich that time just jumping right inside the block. Going to jump inside here, and we've seen that from Chandler Jones as well. Sometimes you get that going too much, and all of a sudden you get a bounce-out run for a big one.
3rd and a long yard. Three-man rush. Pass is caught. That'll move the chains. It's Demaryius Thomas working toward the middle. And a first down at the 25-yard line.
Well, this is just basketball rebound position. Big body in there, gets spread out. Ball comes in to leave really all over him with the coverage. Look at the catch. He never got his hands on it at all. Talib knocked his hands away, and somehow he still squeezed it to his belly.
A run again. Moreno to the 44-yard line. And Moreno, all night long, he's kind of been hopping on and off the field. 18-yard gain. That's the reason he's been out of the game from time to time. And once more, he has to come out here. And there's a Patriot down, and that's Talib.
That's a big injury. Let's go back and show you this run. Watch how Moreno sets this thing up and then goes up the field, setting up the block of Virgil Green. And that's really what ends up making the play. Andre Caldwell with a good block down the field, but we're already without Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie in this game. And this would be sort of the equivalent of that if Aqib Talib couldn't go.
So Talib gets up. Meanwhile, Moreno's back on the bench. You would think Terrell Davis would hold the Denver team record from rushing yardage in the game, but it's not. Mike Anderson back in 2000 ran for 251. Moreno tonight 222.
And he looks like he's hurting over there.
Came limping off, bloody arm.
Well, you have to think now about Demaryius Thomas. You've got an injury. Arrington on him out there. It's been Talib all night. You got a blitz look.
And now they give it to Anderson. The free agent rookie takes it close to the 50-yard line.
Dante Ball with the fumble, so he's not in there. They're giving C.J. Anderson a shot. I still, with the game on the line, with the Talib out of there, I'm taking my shot. Maybe a quick screen of some kind, a little catch and run opportunity for Demaryius Thomas at some point.
Crowd almost a nervous quiet right now. And it's Anderson juggling the ball and winds up falling on top of it. Oh, man, oh, man.
Looked like C.J. Anderson almost took that ball like he was cradling his arms and just goes right through. You can see his eyes up, and You know, for Peyton Manning, you just wonder how many handoffs he's made to C.J. Anderson. When you add this pressure, he's out. Time for Moreno to come back in.
Moreno's back in the game. Sets up behind left guard. 3rd and 4. Manning throwing, caught, and to the 39-yard line goes Jacob Tamme, who's had so many big catches tonight. The tight end with Julius Thomas out. It's been Dreesen, it's been Tamme.
What a patient release by a veteran ball player. In, out, back in. There you go. Use that strength. Throw off the defender, the rookie Dron Harmon, and come up with yet another big play for him tonight.
5 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown for Tamme. Here goes Moreno, but he can't get on track. He gets tackled at the 40-yard line. He's hurting. Chris Jones making the tackle.
Zane Beadles just couldn't cut off Prince Jones, who keeps showing his quickness off the ball. You know, at this point, these guys getting a little exhausted out there. That first step, sometimes the younger guys have the edge. Keep Talib back in the game now, too.
Already over 9 minutes into overtime. We had a tie game today in the NFL. Minnesota and Green Bay. Here's Moreno, and Moreno's going to take the ball to the 37, where he's tackled by Chandler Jones. Only 5.5 minutes till this one would be declared a tie.
Ends crashing. Too bad Peyton Manning doesn't run many bootlegs, because these crashing ends may be a little vulnerable to that. Sometimes you start running at them, it's easier as you can set them up to the outside and then break in the way Moreno did earlier.
3rd and 8. And the pass is dropped. Welker couldn't hold on. And now, what does Del Rio do? You can't try a field goal into the wind. It's about a 56-yarder. Do you go for it?
I think
do you punt? I agree with you.
Jamie Collins here with the play of the night so far for that young rookie. Got a good jam on Wes Welker and then knocked the ball free out of his hands. If that thing had been 4th and about 2, I think you come up with a different decision here.
Under 5 minutes before the end of overtime. Colquitt to punt.
You see the Patriots, they have their starting defense out there. They did not go to the punt team or punt return team.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Doesn't matter much from midfield. Give Colquitt a little more space.
Well, it does get the punt return unit back on the field, though, because when it was 4th down and 7, you're playing defense. Now you get the punt return unit and a chance for a return or a block, because now the pressure is on the punter to just catch the ball in this win.
And then New England's going to take a timeout.
New England, a 30-second timeout.
Well, that's the end of their timeouts. You only get 2. It starts out as it's Manning against Brady, but this game has had so many permutations and nuances, and as you say, you cannot overstate the importance of this game for both teams and for the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC.
But I really think that down the road, this is going to have a positive impact on both these teams. These are playoff conditions here, playoff kind of pressure, the big scene, all that kind of stuff, but also the weather, the wind, all the things that you see in a Denver, in a New England, in a playoff game that's meaningful at the end of the year. This is going to be good for both of them.
But if Denver loses this game, that is a long plane ride home.
It is indeed.
24-0 halftime lead. They're now fighting for their lives here. On 4th down, Colquitt to send it down toward Edelman. Backspin on it, fair catch called for, made at the 19-yard line. And now Brady will try to get them into game-winning field goal range. Brady 321, twice as many yards as Manning. Pass rating is very good for Tom and very much below par for for Peyton.
Ram.
This is a team that is building chemistry as they go, and boy, we'll see how it goes here.
Four-man rush, pass over the middle, caught on the run by Edelman. A gain of 18 to the 38-yard line.
You can only ask linebackers to cover wide receivers so long in these situations in man coverage. You love to stay with the man coverage, but there are times when it's too much for a guy like Wesley Woodyard.
Spot the ball at the 37. 9 grabs tonight for Edelman as he's into triple figures.
Hey, 6'3". Read it.
Gronkowski on a wing to the right side. And now in motion. Play action. Pressure on. Brady avoids a sack, stepping away. Deep down the sideline and out of bounds and uncatchable. Gronkowski, the intended receiver. Sylvester Williams put the heat on that time. Adams covering. 2nd and 10.
But did you see the way Tom Brady took over at the line of scrimmage? He had an illegal formation for what he wanted to do with the Gronkowski motion. Very calmly, just got everybody in the right place. Said, here we go. All right, now come in motion. Here we go. Now you got the play.
Second down and 10 from the 37.
Tony Carter in the game, who has not been active very much this year.
Again, play action, pressure on. Brady hit as he throws passes. Incomplete up at the 42-yard line. That was Von Miller who put the pressure on. Pass intended for Amendola, 3rd and 10.
Right around the top of your screen right there. And it is, again, I'll tell you, Von Miller is using his hands beautifully tonight, knocking down the hands of Solder. And by doing that, Solder is like leaning forward and losing his balance just by taking those hands and ripping them down. It's a move that's working for Von Miller tonight. We're going to line up that way again.
Right. Over the slot position. Brady throws, might have been tipped, and the pass caught at the 42 by Kenbrell Tompkins. But that's going to make it 4th down. So you've got 3:40 and ticking down to what would be the end of overtime. Compelled to punt here. Welker's going to go back to receive the kick. Denver has 2 timeouts, New England with none. And the rookie Ryan Allen, the left-footed kicker, in for his 6th punt. Crowd chanting, Welker, Welker.
Be careful.
Careful what you wish for. A mocking chant and a high floating kick. And Welker's going to let it go. And it touches the Bronco. And the Patriots come up with the ball of all things. Tony Carter touched the ball, which made it a live ball. As Welker moved away from it and puts New England in a position to win the game.
We talked about it. Tony Carter has not been in very much, but he really needs some help from Wes Welker back here. If Wes Welker makes up his mind a little bit sooner, he makes the get out of the way call. But Tony Carter didn't hear that, and Welker didn't make that signal until the last second. You can see Carter try to get out of the way when he hears that, but at that point it's too late. One hops off of him, and
reduced to a spectator's roll. The ball is at the 18-yard line, and now Denver will take a timeout.
Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, they all talk about the same thing over and over again. The kicking game, the significance of the wind in the kicking game. You'll see Tony Carter, the minute he hears the poison call or whatever they call it for the Denver Broncos, you could see him flinch. But Welker wanted to make a play, and then last second gives that signal, but it's too late for Tony Carter. You can't expect him to know where the ball is. It's up to the returner to tell everybody else what's going on. And if you're not going to field it, if you're not going to fair catch it, you've got to make that call sooner. Really, Tony Carter had no chance.
And Nate Ebner is the man who, like Gostowski, at the 18-yard line. And you would think they'll kick it sooner than later.
Well, the only thing I will say, though, is you have to sort of play for if he misses the kick. So you want to bleed this clock as much as you can. So if he does miss, You're not giving it back to Peyton.
And Gostowski will come in right now. So you had those 3 big New England turnovers in the first half of the first quarter, which led to a 17-0 lead for Denver. And since then, 4 Denver turnovers. And the last one could be the killer here. A quarterback that's 6'8" just to get his hands up. There he is, number 17. And Del Rio calls Denver.
You got to be careful about jumping on somebody's back and the leverage and the jumping and pushing somebody from behind. Of course, we've learned many of those rules here in New England from earlier this season. Oh my goodness, you love having Wes Welker back there in that situation because of his experience, but you wonder how. Because why not bleed the clock? They take the time out. You always have the possibility of missing this kick, and you want as little time on that clock as possible. Get it down to the 2-minute warning, and I would imagine they'll kick it on 3rd down, though, just in case you get a bobbled snap or whatever.
Absolutely. So Brady now comes to the sideline. There is a 2-minute warning in overtime, and it comes right here. And when we come back, Gostowski will try to win the game. Monday night and Monday morning at about 22 past midnight here in the East. Here comes Gostowski in to try to win the game. 31-yard field goal attempt. And the New England Patriots, with a most improbable win, down 24-0 in a nightmarish first half, take the lead. Denver's able to tie it, send it into overtime. There is Carter making contact with the punt and setting up a New England win. And thrilling everybody in Kansas City along the way.
Holy cow. Tony Carter down, looks back, he hears the poison call, but it's too late. It one hops off of him, and that is that. And yet another miraculous game. So the comebacks are getting even between these 2 great quarterbacks. Wow.
New England goes to 8-3. Denver drops to 9-2. 34-31 in